and it's happening. It's happened. We're live. Hello. Welcome to the Honest Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. And finally, fucking hell, my two show hosts on a Monday are back. Mr. Nathan Prescott.
Hello.
And Mr. Jonathan Etland.
Hello.
I have missed you too. I have had all sorts of people. I've had the wonderful Nikos fill in. Nikos.
Oh, yeah. How's he doing?
He's doing great. He's just a great dude. I had Bexy and Genius take on their Age of Sigmar inspiration. They loved that.
Cool.
Just had you were via the internet all the way from Zimbabwe the other day.
Yeah. Sure.
While also, hi Me Smash. I hope you're doing really well. While also, Nathan, at the same time, someone personally messaged me to tell me that you should not eat while you were on a headset for a live recording.
I wasn't eating.
Okay, whatever you were doing. So I'm going to say hello to everyone in the chat. Daka Flacka Flame, hi. Hook and Pin, howdy. Eyeglasses, 86 evening. Debolt, Full Greamer, hello everyone. We've got a very exciting show today. I'm going to tell you what we're going to quickly be doing, and then, my friends, I am going to Combat Phase Podcast. Kenny Lull, the Fire Slayer King himself, has just subscribed to the Knee Stabbing Gang for 2 months in a row.
Wow.
Thanks, Kenny. And Rama also, evening lads, says Rama. So today's very exciting show. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be asking my show hosts what the fuck they've been doing for the past few weeks. Yeah, I'll ask that in a minute. That's the cycle.
Gotta make something up.
And then we're going to be talking about the news and information that we've heard about Age of Sigmar from Games Workshop in the past week. And then we're going to be we are finally, AOS 2 has been out long enough that we can start to tier the armies. So that's for you guys to know. What we're going to do is, if you wanted to go and buy an army, let's say, or even just use an army, you're leaning further out of shot, Nate.
Then you'll get a rough idea.
Then you'll get a rough idea of how well they may do at a tournament based on how good you are. How does that sound?
Sounds lekker.
Good.
Oh.
So, go on.
I hope Dispossessed are at the top of those tiers.
Me too.
Hi Tim X. Hi Old Trimp Eyes. So most importantly, we also have some amazing data information that we'll be showing later, but not right now. Hi Speckles. So loads of cool data information, which has been brought to you by a studious team. So I'll be showing that later. That'll be at the end of the show. And obviously we're also live on Facebook and we're live on YouTube. So if you're watching on either of those places, please jump onto Twitch. Although I think I can now see all of the feeds in a different screen, but I will have to learn how to do that. So if I'm not doing it well, I apologise. Anyway. And obviously, everyone on Twitch who subscribes and everyone on Patreon who donates are the reason we're able to bring this show. Like Mamdare, who has just subscribed for 7 months in a row. He says, Kill Team Nova, over 100 players playing a skirmish version of 40k. How do I feel about that? I'm not happy about it. Right, Jonathan, how have you been?
I've been good. Why are you not happy about Kill Team?
Huh?
You're not happy?
Why aren't you happy about Kill Team?
It's just another game I'd have to learn.
Oh. Okay.
And I don't want to.
Yeah.
There's already too much to learn.
There is a lot to learn, indeed. But I've been busy, man. I've been working my ass off.
Yeah?
Real life work. Because can't be all fun and games, you know. But
is that like, are you like Eminem? Is that a diss track you've just sent towards me?
Yeah. Can't be all fun and games, man.
Well, I try to make it all fun and games where I can.
I know.
Yeah.
But that has come to an end now, and I'm swapping jobs on tomorrow.
Okay.
So now it will be fun and games.
Hopefully. It will be fun and games. All fun and games. But apart from that, it's all good. A very, very hectic week, but
a good week?
No, it sucked, man. I worked.
Oh.
I think 40 hours overtime or something.
Yeah. Did you leave lots of booby tracks for whoever's taken over from you?
You know I did.
Nice.
Good. All right. So, hello, LLV. Big shout out to LLV. We're going to be talking about some of the work he's been doing later. Aaron Wilson, AOS, hello. Speckles, thanks for subscribing and also just being a stand-up gentleman. Mamdare, thanks for donating 500 bits. Bring the new Night Goblin Warband. Mamdare, also, question for Mamdare. This is really important. You get to choose, because you're currently the top bits donator, which of the 4 Grand Alliances we're going to start our tiering system on later on. Although Hook and Pin has just fired in there with another 500, so those two are going to have to row between to decide. So thank you very much to both of you guys. You guys are wonderful. Hi Heinrad as well, and Dudarday says welcome back. Press on, Prescott.
All right, Dudarday.
I'm sorry, Jonathan, you've been having to work, but has there been any Warhammer in the background? Have you been tinkering with some ideas? Have you been thinking some Warhammer things?
Yeah, well, I'm painting up a kill team as we speak now. I'm pressing on with my Gene Stealer cult, but regarding Age of Sigma, I think I'm just gonna wait. I mean, the new release for Shadespire looks kind of cool. So hopefully we'll have something like that up in the pipeline.
So you're talking, of course, of the Troggoth that we've seen for the Age of Sigmar Warband.
Well, they've released the Stormcast and the Nighthawk one, but everybody's more interested in what the Moon Clan.
Well, the Stormcast just looks like Stormcast, right?
Yeah.
It could be any model from the range, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's just the same.
Yeah, and the other ones are ghosts. Some of them have got flowers.
And they're also all the same. Right?
But then, there's a squig with wings.
Yeah.
Oh no! What's the Squidgian? Is that what he's been nicknamed?
The Squidgian, the Squat.
You know guys are ruining the news section.
We are the news section.
Fuck the news.
No, first we do the standardized. How have you been? What have you been doing? And then we move into the news and we react to it like it's a hip hop video. Yeah, that's the process. I talked about it at the beginning of the show, didn't I?
So the Honest Wargamer has become a reaction channel.
No, it's always been a reaction channel.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, the honest reaction. I hate it, or I love it.
Still between.
Hello, Aaron Wilson says, been speaking a lot to the Just Saying podcast, who are looking to make standardized documents for AOS events. ? So I'll reread that. Who are looking to make standardized documents for AOS events? ? As each event seems to have its own pack. 4D says evening all. Elevated, did Nathan lose any Zimbabwe and street hammer? We'll ask about that in a second. Flying Squid, positive victim, says, oh, lovely Darren, hello, GF is not home, so I can stay here until she comes home with my tasks. Woohoo! Yeah, and Hook and Pins don't... Go on.
Can you lose a game of Street Hammer in a country which has no streets?
They have streets. Yeah. Don't get us kicked out of... Don't get us... You racist.
No.
They have a street. That's
stop it. Are you just an infrastructure specialist?
Yes.
Right, okay. Hook and Pin, thanks for donating another 100 bits. You actually currently get to choose which faction we're going to get to start with. And Hook and Pin loves Daughters of Cain, so I think that means Order she wants to start with. Jason D. Fluffer has subscribed for 10 months in a row. He now says, I can now stab 2.5 horses in the knee. Or 3 wounded horses and 1 seriously wounded horse.
What's he got against horses?
I don't know. Just, Mamdare.
Ask him why it's got against horses.
What have you got against horses, Jason D. Fluffer? And also Mamdare has also donated another 500 bits because he says, fuck off, Hook and Pin. I don't want to do daughters. I want to do death. The Just Saying podcast really got their stuff together regarding competitive play. Great podcast, says LLB. So shout out to those gays. I might have, not those gays, guys. I might have to give them a listen.
That's an assumption.
Yeah. They might also be gay, in which case that's also fine. They're the gay podcast. So Just Saying, guys, if you listen, you're now the gay podcast, apparently. So, Nathan, while you've been away for weeks, people have missed you. Yeah?
Hello.
So I've been telling everyone that you've been in Zimbabwe starting the Age of Sigmar Tournament League. Is that true?
Yeah, we started it, we did it, and then we finished it. So it's all over now.
Yes, it was 3 weeks.
That's all you need.
What happened in those 3 weeks?
sorry, what happens in the Zimbabwean league stays in the Zimbabwean league, so that's it.
Oh, we don't talk about the Zimbabwean league?
We don't talk about it, no. The things that happen there, man, you weren't there. You wouldn't know.
Oh, well, a couple of things have just happened. Brent Garber has just subscribed. Very, very, thank you very much. And also Kenny Long has also donated 500 bits. Everything's going on. Also Brent, great name. Yeah, cheers, Brent, you superstar. I heard Nathan never missed listening to a podcast. Yeah, I heard you listen to every podcast we did. John, have you been keeping up with all the shows on a Monday?
No.
You fucking dick. Yeah, it's literally the point, is you're meant to say yes.
I thought I was being honest.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Nathan, have you? Oh,
Every
I hate you both. You're such a pair of pricks. Why were do you only listen when you're on it? Yeah? You narcissistic fuck.
I never listen to anything like that. I mean...
Unless I get onto the Rope podcast, I'm not going to listen to myself on a podcast, am I?
Oh, fucking hell. I think it's just like watching yourself masturbate. It's the same thing, like listening to yourself on a podcast.
Let's try that.
Let's move on, right?
Besides, I wouldn't want to watch Rob masturbate. Anyway,
did Nathan fight any dangerous animals while he was there? So while you were in Zimbabwe, did you fight any dangerous animals? Be careful about your answer, please.
Be careful about my answer?
Yeah.
Yes and no.
Fantastic. Banjo and James. Good evening, and hello to the chat. Apparently, also, I can still see, oh, fucking hell. LLV says, I can see he still has his hands, but does Nathan still have his feet? I hear when you lose at Zimbabwe Street Hammer, you don't just lose your army.
No.
You still got your feet? No feet?
No. See, look. No feet.
Okay, good. And Hooker Pin has also just donated 535 bits, a very specific amount, just to make sure that she beats Mamdare. They're in a war, apparently. A bidding war to see who would go first on. So, you've been doing any Warhammer recently?
I played a game against Paul Haley.
Yeah.
His Daughters of Cain.
How did that go?
Not very good for my Iron Jaws. They got cut ribbons by the Daughters of Cain.
So, in a very 2018 fashion, how does it feel when women are just doing the jobs better than men? Because that's basically what Daughters of Cain do, right? They just do the job of battling in close combat better than Iron Jaws.
Parts of it felt a bit painful. Some of it was quite pleasurable. And
good.
It was nice just to sit back and watch them at work, yeah.
Oh, right, good. Yeah. All right,
Makes
Nate.
a nice change. Yeah.
Jonathan, you played any games recently?
No, I'm playing a game tomorrow, actually.
What game are you playing?
Age of Sigmar. I'm gonna take on Nagash.
Okay, with which particular army?
With my particular Deepkin army, I think.
With your Deepkin army?
Yeah, or Warhard. I don't know. I might borrow Jason's Warhard. Just smash.
So I haven't got to ask you yet. How do you feel about the release of the Beastmen Battletome?
Are we back in the news section yet?
Huh?
Oh, we're back in the news.
Yeah, we're back in the news. Apparently, yeah. Let's just do this. Let's just do it all. Just go on. It's just I'll lose track is my issue. But go on.
Yeah. News Beastmen. Yeah. Not super excited. I mean, I bet a lot of people will be excited because they have the armies painted up since the last edition. They got some cool endless spells, right? But other than that, there's no new stuff.
There's no new models.
Yeah, I'm not super excited for it.
Huh?
No, I'm not excited for it.
You're not excited for it?
No, I'd rather have something else, something cooler.
Oh, what, like something new?
Yeah.
You've so been programmed by Games Workshop. You need to defuck yourself. I love you.
Why?
I love you deeply, but you need to defuck yourself. What you need to do is go, right, there's already a bunch of models out there that are on eBay, yeah? Or that other people have. They've got a battle tome, so they can use their allegiance abilities. Like the biggest entry for that army, yeah, is some new endless spells, if they're even any good. If they're shit, just ignore them, yeah? And a battle tome, right? That's the entry. And then the model range. Whereas opposed to like brand new models, like there's all of them you've got to get. Like this is brilliant. You can't get on that. Like I have to buy every new release.
I don't have a Beastmen army, man.
Oh well, then in which case you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that make sense? Otherwise.
If I had a Beastmen army, I would probably be a bit more excited.
Yeah.
Oh well, then that's your fault.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. In which case, the way to defuck yourself is don't buy a Beastmen army. So the response you give initially was the correct response, and I'm going to shut the fuck up.
So confused now.
I don't know.
Nathan, are you excited? What's everyone else in the Twitch chat, Facebook chat, all the chats in the world, YouTube? I don't know where we are. I think we're also somehow live streaming through Tumblr onto someone's fridge.
Nice. Awesome.
Go on. What do you think?
I was maybe not excited, but yeah, I was happy enough that it was coming.
Yeah.
Be good.
Yeah. You ready for the Moo Cows? The Moo meta?
Yeah, I reckon they'll be probably alright, actually.
Yeah.
Like the only thing I'm feeling is they're probably a horde army. That's probably the way you're gonna play them. And I don't super enjoy hordes. It's like they're probably gonna ambush.
Yeah, be really fast.
They famously ambush, don't they?
Yeah. And they're famously really quick as well. So I don't know. I think they'll be alright.
Okay.
I think it will be like an ambushing Daughters Kane army that has some bigger models, but obviously can't take as much of a punch. That's how I'm feeling about it. Or they'll do bone splitters and they're super undercosted, so you just have to have 200 Beastmen or something, and that will be the best build. And I don't know. We'll see.
They're all the best build if you're enjoying yourself. Hashtag.
What losers say.
Scrubs is the actual term. Right, there's loads of people in the chat. I want to say hi. Thanks all for being here. Everyone's excited to see Jet, including Hook and Pin, Aaron Wilson, and Dude Our Day. And also, Hook and Pin says, Daughters of Cain are evil bitches, but I love playing them so far. Jason D. Fluffer says, moo. Master Moore says, Jonathan, do you have the link to the Swedish podcast? And what's it called? Can I pronounce it? The Swedish podcast is called Uferubudufifun.
Oh, you nailed it, you racist bastard.
I missed you guys so much.
I'll see. Yeah, I'll put a link in here. If you're a Swede, I mean, otherwise you probably won't enjoy it.
What Speckles is allowed back on the show? Why is he in quarantine? I think we should be told. We should get Speckles back on the show. Jason Fluff, a new commission in a bunch of cows a year and a half ago would be a good idea. Smart move. Breton Spingle, bring on the AD Max here. Hi, how you doing? He obviously is going to be running the fantastic Sheffield Slaughter sometime in the new year. Information to come soon. LLV says eBay ain't cheap anymore for those Beastmen, so the prices have obviously gone up. Archean's in the house. What up? One of the mods of the channel. Angels Mark has subscribed for 3 months in a row, which is real nice. He also says that the the Monsters of Chaos, over a third of the models is Finecast, and that really puts him off the range of models, because Finecast is, and allegedly, and there's no allegedly about it, real bad quality models from Games Workshop. And I think that's a fair assessment. What do you think, John and Nathan?
Yeah, Finecast sucks dick.
Not even. Well, that actually, most of the time, is fairly pleasurable when I receive that. When I'm having to do it, I don't enjoy it. I got to say, I enjoy it half as much. Yeah, right. So.
Okay. All right. Well, it's really crap.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Kenny Low, Combat Phase Podcast says, very excited to be able to reasonably play my war herd with some beasts and wizards. Wizards? Are you a wizard? John, I'm going to need that as a voice thing, by the way, from you. Are you a wizard?
Are you a wizard?
Because I want that to be when someone subscribes. I want it to say, "Are you a wizard?"
Do you know what? I actually have 6 dragon ogres on square bases in my cupboard. So if they adjust their profile, that could be really cool, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, because they're joining the Beasts of Chaos thing, aren't they?
I like that they're bunching up together.
The excitement is slowly building.
Say what?
This is how it works.
What's how what works?
The excitement, the build-up. This time next week, they'll have a full Beastmen army.
Yeah. One community article comes out and it's like, guess what?
Ogres.
Yeah, guess what? You can move.
Underscorn.
I can move my models. That's it. Whole army bought. Yeah, I'm not conditioned.
And just disarm the situation. I'll sell them to you, man.
Nice.
Close one.
Good chance for Skyfires. Oh wait, there's a good because the Zangor, Jonathan, are going to be in it. So you're going to see more Skyfires and more Zangor. How's that feel?
Probably more Zangor, right, than Skyfires, unless they adjust the points of Skyfires in the Beastman book.
Yeah. I think they might do. I think they might adjust the points of Zangor, or they might even update the Zangor War Scroll.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite messy at the moment, isn't it? Like with all it's like an Art Boys War Scroll, really. With all the weapons and stuff. And
so generally, some excitement, but we're not going to learn anything from this. We're just
guessing.
We're just guessing.
Yeah,
we're just guessing. I have a burning question, but there's also a question from the chat. Rob Ellis says, "What do you think of the new Shadespire?" This swollen gum is not helping with my pronunciation. What do you think of the new Shadespire Troggoth, Nath? And that's the news. That's a question to both of you and the Twitch chat. There was a new Shadespire Troggoth. What do you think of him?
I'm in.
You're in?
Great. Yeah. He's cool.
He's fucking cool. What do you think about the fact he's got barnacles on his stick?
It's cool.
Don't we all?
I don't think they are. I think they're spore. They're puffballs that have got spore holes. So they look a bit like barnacles, but they're not really.
Oh, okay.
They're a type of puffball.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, Lukewarm 86. Thanks for joining the new stabbing gang, babe. I've got to say that so if we are to assume the new aesthetic for Moonclan and probably Destruction stuff is to be along the lines of the
Fungoid Cave
Shaman and the Troggoth that we've seen.
Yeah.
They're very much like they go in super mushroom.
Yeah, loads of mushrooms, but also loads of moons as well.
Loads of moons.
Yeah. The Troggoth has got 3 or 4 moons on him, and obviously the Fungoid Cave Shaman has even got his bit of face adornment, so his face looks like a moon. It's pretty sweet.
And you're happy with that?
Yeah, I mean.
You're in?
Yeah.
All right.
Bad move.
It's quite a mood team that we got going on, like with the Beastmen, because they're all basically moo. And then you have the Moon Clan.
Yeah. It's all about that alliteration.
Yeah.
So that looks really good. I like him personally. It's hyper detailed though. It's not going to be one of them one of those armies that's super easy to paint, like and get on the tabletop.
Yeah, lots of detail. But then when I painted the Fungoid Cave Shaman, I really enjoyed painting him. Like the detail is there, but it's not like too bad when you come to painting him up.
Okay, yeah. I'm excited. There's clearly a design aesthetic. I think it's the worst kept secret of all time that there's more than likely a Moonclan Battletome with new models on the horizon. I think it's comfortably the worst kept secret of all time, right?
Sure.
Yeah, I think
Let's hope.
I think it is. I think
Fingers
it is.
crossed.
That's the current rumor. Although we've seen designs for the models already, right? Like we've seen the Fungoid Cave Shaman, we've seen this Troggoth. The Troggoth's going to be part of a warband of Moonclan dudes, I imagine.
Yeah.
We've seen whatever the Squidgian is. And
That's
let me just, before we get onto that, Combat Phase Podcast says, go see a Dr. Jonathan. Speckle says he's on it like a grot on shrooms. Old Shrimp Pie says, imagine my disappointment when I discovered White Dwarf had nothing about Beastmen in it, and it was full of Lord of the Rings. Yeah, because Lord of the Rings has got a new edition this week. How do you guys feel about that?
If somebody played that game at my club, I would join them. Absolutely. It's always one. I'm like curious, like Lord of the Rings curious.
I'm also Lord of the Rings curious. If anyone wanted to take my Lord of the Rings virginity, I'd be interested.
Take your lord into your ring.
I want to be the one who rules them all, and in the darkness bind them. Yeah. Which is actually my friend Mark Wildman's main. That's his tagline that he's already had engraved on his tombstone, which is weird. Are you guys excited about that? Were you interested in the Lord of the Rings thing when it came out?
I didn't know it had come out, but it always looks cool. What?
I'm a Lord of the Rings fan, or I like the movies, if I put it that way. But yeah, I'd love to play it, but there's no one playing it at my club.
So
Listen, D Fluffer, do you want to play it? I'll play it with you.
Can I tell you an interesting thing, John?
What?
So you know Smaug.
The Drugon.
The Drugan, yes, the big Drugan.
The worm.
Yeah, the worm. Yeah. You know how he's a one model army, yeah? So you can take him and he's a one model army. Basically, I think, from Lord of the Rings. And if you are, weirdly, a Lord of the Rings player out there listening to this show, and that's wrong, feel free to tell me.
Yeah,
but I'm almost certain.
Knowledge.
But I got told by a lady the other day, yeah, that Smaug is actually one of the smallest dragons in the Lord of the Rings universe.
In fact, the smallest drake.
He's the smallest drake.
Worm.
He's the smallest worm in the Lord of the Rings universe. How do you feel about that?
I haven't fake news. I haven't seen the other dragons.
It's not fake news, it's real.
No, it's fantasy, Rob.
Fantastical news.
It's fantastical news. All right, that's what we should call the news section, the fantastic section.
Fantastic, yeah.
Fantasy news.
That model is quite cool, huh? But playing a game with one model, I think that is fun. One guy.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. Hopefully.
It's like playing with Slambo in reverse, right?
Yeah, it's like playing with your Barbie or your Action Man, I guess.
It's nothing like that, Nathan, is it? It's nothing like that. Yeah, it's not reducing our hobby down, to children's toys, right? Did I say Moonclan was one of the 4 battle tomes written when AOS 2 released? So my tame insider who has seen the book says Dudade. Dudade's got an insider.
A tame one.
The Lord of the Ring.
Funny, he had a wild one.
Datcom says, I'm hobby curious. Daka Flacker Flame says, I'm looking forward to heavy mushroom and squeak themed Moonclan so I can make my 40k Grotch skirmish drop zone commando.
Wow, he used lots of words there.
Yeah.
40k drop zone squig mushroom commanders.
Milky Badger, we have spoke about the Beastmen. We said we were amused by the release.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, that was good.
It was good.
Thanks, appreciate that. Thank you. I'm here.
I'm smiling over here.
Anyway, so the other piece of news that we saw from Games Workshop was the Squidgian. Yeah, the flying squig.
Squat.
It's still a squat, man. Drop the Squidgian. It's
still
a squat.
So
squig plus bat equals squat.
Yes, but other people were saying
squig plus pigeon.
Squig plus pigeon. Yeah, and I won't lie. A lot of people are talking about free summoning and that being a bit of an issue in Age of Sigmar 2. A lot of people talk about command point stacking. As far as I'm aware, this has caused a drastic decline, a split in the community. You know, there's the squat team and the squidging team. In fact, there's actually even 2 warring Facebook pages that you can join.
Well, there is actually on the government web portal, there's a thing that's been put to Parliament that's collecting signatures for it to be called the Squidgian.
To be called the Squidgian as opposed to the squat.
If they reach enough signatures, then they'll have to discuss it in the Houses of Parliament.
Jesus. The people who think that is pigeon wings don't know how a pigeon look like.
Exactly. That's what they're going to say in the Houses of Parliament. That's what the Speaker of the House will say is,
you can go there, Nathan, and heckle them.
There's no pigeons left in London. They've killed them all. Oh, I can actually see some comments left on YouTube. Evade Madar says, at the Honest Wargamer, do you think that the success of Kill Team, can we expect to see proper AOS Skirmish or even Mordheim-ish rules box set coming? Great question. I probably should have vetted that before I read it out. I was just excited. It's not really what we're talking about right now, but we'll answer that. And also, David McGowan, best bat squig, nana bat squig, bat squig, bat squig.
Yeah,
there we
go. Do that with pigeon.
Pigeon squig.
Pigeon squig. Yeah. Well, actually, interestingly, here, Daka Flack of Flame says squig plus hawk, squawk.
Squawk. Yeah, but it's
squig plus cat.
Squig. Squig plus Paddington Bear. Squiddington Bear. Hi, Gozzy. Has anyone got anything else you want to mix Squig with? Squig with rat? Squat? Yeah?
Oh, wait. Yeah, go on. I got one.
The Merchant Prince says, Bat Squig, at least tell you what it looks like visually. Yeah.
A squig with a squirrel.
Catch the squiggin', catch the squiggin'. Says, that's from Catch the Pigeon. Squig with a pig. Squig. Nice. Great work, Archeon.
Well, that's the same as my one.
Huh?
That was the same as my one. Squig with a squirrel.
Do you know what? I don't want to do the rest of the show. This is all I want to do now for the whole show. Come on, Squig plus dolphin.
Girl.
Squalfin.
Girl.
Squig plus girl. Squirrel.
Squirrel.
Squirrel. Fucking hell.
A squig. You said a squig plus a bear. A square.
Yeah. No, I said a squid plus Paddington Bear. Squiddington Bear.
Okay, well, squig plus bear.
Hi, Fallen Angel. Hi, OJ. Squigana. Squig plus a banana.
Plus, if you take a totem, it's a squotum.
Wait, if a squig has a scrotum, it's a squotum.
Yeah.
What about squoobs?
Squooms?
Squoobs? Squoobs.
Ah.
It's the opposite if you've got a squotum, and we won't do the third thing. That's off. No, squipples. Squig plus barbecue equals I'm hungry. Hooker pin, squig plus dog equals a squog. Nice. Jonathan, what about a squid plus a troll?
Squall.
Squall. Squall. Scroll. Scroll.
They've got a cave squall.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's a cave squig plus a troll. Then you have a
cave squall.
They've got a cave squall.
Okay, all right. So the Squiggian was released, or the Squat, or the Cave Scroll, or whatever you want it to be called, which is exciting. Personally, this is my opinion. While the humour for this model is high, the actual model, I think, looks like shit. Like, it looks fucking awful.
Take that back.
It looks fucking rubbish. Don't tell me you like it.
Your face looks fucking rubbish.
That's a real good comeback. I really appreciate that. You look like a bag of balls, Rob. Yeah? Do you two actually like it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why? Tell me why.
It's a squig.
Huh?
It's a squig. It's got teeth, eyes, wings, and it's a squig.
Squigs don't have wings.
This one does, so
Apparently
fuck you.
they do.
Oh, fucking
Especially if they're a squat.
Huh? This is not, it's just, I'm at least not calling it a squat. I'm calling it a squiggian. It's a better name. It's more fun.
It's definitely a squig thing.
All right. Okay.
Whatever. It looks great.
All right.
I'm in.
Everyone in the Twitch chat, give me some. If you guys like it, then use the use the Roblin emoji.
Shit.
If you hate it, and if you like it, just put like a love heart, I guess, in the Twitch chat. I don't know if you can do. I don't think you can do any of that on YouTube or Facebook, but I don't know. Share it or like the Jonathan Etton. Thanks for subscribing while you're also live on the air. It's also it's real nice here.
I tried to use the emotes, but my subscription has fallen off. I can use the fucking goblin.
Archeon's using cheese pizza. A lot of people are using. Just Respo likes it, but Twitch of Zilia, Dude Our Day, hate it, and Skip Drive loves it. And Positive Victim says it's a bit lazy. It is a bit lazy. Hugh on Wargaming on.
You just
YouTube
said about the troll that it's got too many things.
No, I said it. No, I said I really like that model. I think that model's really, really nice, but it's going to be difficult to put on the tabletop in a really nice way because it's a really beautiful model. Same with like your Fungo Cave Shaman. I think looks fantastic. Looks amazing, and if that's what all the Moon kind of going to look like, I'm fucking so in. Yeah, no, I think the Squiggian's a bit lazy.
Squigs.
Huh?
There's going to be loads of flying squigs as well.
You don't know. There might be
jumping ones,
tunneling ones, disappearing ones out of a tunnel. Loads of shit, I think.
Handbag squigs, a lot.
A handbag squig? Whatever. Squig plus a blender equals goddamn good television. Hook and Pin is got love hearts all day, so does Blue Issa. And just Nikos. Hi, Nikos! Has also thrown some love hearts up.
He's a clever man.
He is a clever man. That's true. So the Honest Wargamer, the Squig is an army model. The Troll is a Golden Demon entry. Yes. Yeah, I think it's just going to be hard to put it on the tabletop in a nice way. That's what I mean. All right, do you guys want to hear the other piece of news coming out of Games Workshop? Today. Hot gossip that's come out today.
Is it about Squigs?
It's not about Squigs.
No,
yeah?
I'm not bothered.
It is about dirty rats, though. The Warhammer Community Event Support post has gone up today. Yeah, interesting. And what this is Games Workshop have decided they're going to support events out in the community now. And they're going to do it in one of three ways.
One of three ways.
One of three ways. The first one is they will list your event if they deem it to be worthy. Now, obviously, I'll go through the process and then I will talk about some of the good and bad things about this.
List it where? On the back of the toilet in the
yeah.
bog at Warhammer World.
So it will just be listed on their website. However, if you have over 130 people attending your event, it's going to be supported. So they've said that each supporting thing will be a bespoke service. Spleen Thief, thanks for subscribing. You're a fucking babe.
So no matter what the event is, if there's 130 people, they'll support it.
Yeah, over 130 people, they will support it in some way, which is an incredibly...
So all events that have got 130 people, or some events?
Nathan, Nathan's cracked where I'm going with this after that. We'll talk about that in a minute. Currently, all events.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, right? And then you have endorsed events, and they get a little picture next to them. Yeah, and they'll things like Nova at the weekend, where they'll have people coming and showing models and how to paint and the community team and the live stream team and all of that will be at the endorsed events. Yeah. So, what do you guys think of that initially off the bat?
A list is nice if people like lists.
Yeah.
Having some support is cool. So, yeah. I mean, the fact that they might pick and choose some of them is a little bit iffy, but we'll see.
What do you mean by pick and choose?
Well, you said, some of them will be endorsed. Well, so some of them will just be supported.
Yeah, supported is the medium one.
Yeah,
listed, supported, endorsed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't know. We'll have to see, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
So the ones that they don't endorse, they don't
support. What happens?
They don't like those events.
Yes, there you go. The issue is that while Games Workshop, how can I put this in? Hi Googies. I'm not gonna bang on this too much because it's pretty easy. They're a company, and having worked with some of the individuals personally, they hold personal grudges. They don't endorse or talk about events specifically. They don't actively encourage events. They've banned people from wearing certain T-shirts in support of certain events at their tournaments in Warhammer World themselves. Some that they won't talk about on their podcasts, whereas some they will just because they're friends. Good example, Blood and Glory, the event. The person that runs Blood and Glory and the head of Age of Sigmar are really close personal friends. And therefore, that's always had a lot of shout-outs and talked about and endorsement. Whereas the Bobo event, which we covered just recently, which had 100 people attend and was universally applauded as being a great event that was well-run, was not mentioned at all, endorsed, supported, or in any way. And that's because someone in the community team just doesn't like the TO of the Bobo. So the issue is that you've got a group of people who aren't business professionals. They hold personal grudges and they bring that to bear, and then they use the multi-million-pound business that is Games Workshop to air and activate personal grievances. And now they have a system of you're good or you're bad. And I don't think that that's a pretty healthy place for the gaming world to be in, personally.
Well, hopefully gamers are grown up enough to ignore a load of bullshit, if there is bullshit, and then just take from it what should be taken from it.
Yeah, but
do you say there was a player limit to the tournament?
130.
So this will only be Australia is big now, right? So Australia, the CanCon is quite many players. Then we have the US, and then we have England. So
and
no other country is.
Well, Japan's got their first Age of Sigmar event soon.
How many do they have?
No, they're really trying hard. The Japanese event looks really, really good. Sweden, you guys.
How many players do you have on the tournament? I mean, if you look at the population of the country, and you look at how many is invested in the whole, like that takes Sweden, we have almost 10 million in the whole country.
Yeah,
that's what you have in London, and we have events that are, I think the biggest one are around 50-60 people. And if you compare that to England, who has a bigger player base, obviously, because you have more people.
Yeah.
But if they put that number there, no event in Sweden will be able to have
an endorsement thing,
a stamp or whatever.
Yeah. Well, because they only actually the endorsement of Nova, LVO as examples. Yeah, their endorsement of those events, and interestingly, their endorsement of going to the LGT at the beginning of this year. You know, they had the community team there, and they had a bunch of people, and they did coverage, and they did big shout outs to it. But the LGT was recognised as being run quite poorly. You know, like the terrain wasn't up to a standard that most people thought was appropriate. It was functional.
It was a shit show, man.
It was a shit show. So, like, their endorsement is not a mark of quality. Their endorsement is only who they favour, and who they favour, just like all non-free press, is going to be people who follow the rules that they want to follow. As an example, if you go to an event and you don't use, like, will endorsed events allow Games Workshop models? Probably not. So, like, if you've got like a really cool, there's an amazing company who's made, there's a Demon Prince model I really fucking want. I can't remember the name of it at the minute, but it's really, 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 really nice. And I'm like, yeah, I really want that. And my problem with getting that is I don't want to buy 3 of the same Demon Prince model from Games Workshop, and I can support that. I could mod them and, you know, sculpt my own, do some conversions and stuff. But there's just a really great company who makes another version of a Demon Prince, and it looks really nice, and I want to get that. But I can't. If now I know that 4 events a year are endorsed, and which means they have to jump through the loophole of you can use no external models, like, other than Games Workshop, then, like, you know. And also, like, when they endorse, like, Adepticon, but then they've got War Machine and Hordes, and they've got a bunch of other gaming systems. Are Adepticon going to drop those? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just think it's an interesting one. And I think it's a little bit more insidious than maybe the community article makes out.
Tell you what, though. The LVO could really... No, not LVO. The London GT could really use that sweet train deal, though.
They really could. They really could. And I'm sorry that's brought a bummer onto the that's really skewed the show down. I'm just hyper aware that not lots of other podcasts or shows really ever talk about the fact that they're an insidious company trying really hard to make as much money as possible. Yeah, and your enjoyment of the game is not their first consideration. How much money they make is their first consideration. So I just wanted to highlight that, because there are people who put on great events. For instance, Iron Jaws Mark has just put in here almost a 40-man tournament every month in Scotland, but support stops anywhere north of Liverpool. So, you know, those guys, like, they haven't even been listed. You know, yeah, it's not 130 person event once a year, but it's a 40-person event every month. That's brilliant. You know, that deserves some love. The guys over in Australia, if they get 110 people, like in New Zealand, if they get 110 people in a New Zealand event, that deserves something. That's fantastic, especially with the fucking prices those guys have to pay. If there's 110 people who can afford an army, New Zealand's economy is just doing really well. You know, so
they should be able to do it now. They'll just all bring loads of freaking sheep and just have herds of sheep wandering around the table, especially with the new beasts.
Bluesy! So just quickly see what the guys in the chat are saying. Archean says, I suspect that endorsed events will require them to be exclusively Games Workshop models, which is just how I felt. What they should do is send a couple of folks, Hook and Pin says, to each event to play, and they can actually explain how they felt the whole thing was, but that's what I would do, says the Honest Wargamer. Master Kamal, they will never endorse the Vikings since they are afraid they will come and plunder them again. That's fair. That's probably the reason.
Probably.
Rob Ellis, we're going to support Bobo with the trophy support, and I'm going to grace you with my considerable heft. Can't wait, and I'm sure it won't be long until Games Workshop can't help but recognise John's efforts, which is lovely.
Cool.
Paul Greenman, Nova had some non-Games Workshop models, as they mentioned. A guy couldn't be featured on stream, but they will probably stop that. Do you see what I mean? Like, and that really cuts into the art and, like, it absolutely fine if Games Workshop want to make one Demon Prince model, yeah, for Nurgle, and that can be bought for Nurgle, Tzeentch, Khorne, like any game system, yeah. But then if there's a fucking brilliant other Demon Prince model, I feel like they should be like, that's brilliant, man. Like, yeah, stick that on the tabletop. You know, like 80% needs to be Games Workshop or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, just an alternate model, I think, is, especially when they don't produce it. Like, they don't produce so many, like, side kits that you want for, like, Space Marines or, you know, even, like, pretty standard, like, for 8th edition, there was loads of versions of fantasy models that just didn't have, you know, little bits. Those are just my ideas. Anyway, that's how I feel. I'll stop that now. Any final thoughts on that one?
No, I mean, yeah, it's a bit iffy, but like you say, they're a company that's trying to make money, and so it's. But I mean, I don't see that being a productive way at doing anything positive for your profit line. Is this endorsement thing really?
Well, it's Thundergore.
Because I mean, it'll leave a bad taste in some people's mouths, and I don't know. I can't see it being a. Yeah, it's cool if they offer support, but I'm not so sure on the endorsing thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Thundergore says, aren't there good sides to it too, though? Like, you present the company as only insidious. It's Thundergore. I do have to say that my commentary on that is obviously coloured by my time and experience there, and specifically the person in charge of me personally as a manager. And in charge of the TV department, had another boss who was the person who originally hired me. And that person, I think, couldn't be more, in my opinion, an insidious, power-hungry, narcissistic, darkly horrible person that only wants to come around my house late at night and scare me. But also, you know, wants to, like, have total control over the wargaming community in as many ways as possible, and isn't interested in people having fun. Having played a tournament with him over an entire weekend, definitely other people's enjoyment or just joy are not two things that human being considers. So that kind of is the colouring of my opinion of this particular matter. So it's definitely how I can feel sometimes. So if you're hearing that and you don't agree, that's fine. When I see that, I just see a power grab, and I just see aggression. And I just see other tournaments being considered third rate. Like, what if the Australians are just like, you know, man, like, we're not going to follow this particular set of rules. And they're like, well, if you don't do that, you're not going to be endorsed. Or they put a compact in somewhere in the world, and it's like, I want this to be, you know, people want the game to be more fun, you know, and they're like, well, if you don't do that, you're not going to be endorsed. They're going to use that to make people not do what they want to do. Like, and what people, in my opinion, almost all TOs I've ever met want to put an event on so people can have a nice time. And that just sticks in my craw. That's all.
Yeah, happy with the support thing. Less impressed by the endorsing thing. Just a little bit dangerous ground, I reckon.
I mean, the endorsing part has been around a long time. This is just the information, like, how do you get endorsed? Because previously, as you said, Rob, had Blood and Glory, South Coast, obviously. It's a bit weird that Facehammer haven't been endorsed, but it have been there for sure. But now it's just like an unofficial thing, not under the table thing.
Yeah. It wasn't like pretend, but then it's still pretend, because when they say that they're featuring, endorsing, I don't want to talk about this anymore because I'm labouring the point. You know, but like when they say that they're endorsing a one or supporting it or listing it, they might just not list one because they don't like the guy who's running the event. Like, I mean, how's that fair, right? You know, and it's like, we'll always be nice to those people. It's like, well, what if those people are dicks? Which some of them are. From personal experience, I think. Like, that's not fair. You know, real nice dude's just like, I'm a real nice guy. And that isn't me. I'm not pointing at me. I'm talking about someone else. I'm a real nice dude, just want to put an event on. And that guy's like, I don't like you. I won't feature your event. Fuck you. How's that right? Does that make sense? And maybe all companies do it, but it's just the first time the company's done it in this case for the hobby that I enjoy. So maybe you always have to jump through circles, which is fair, you know. And anyway, please move on. Make a dick joke or something.
What's the next section? What was the next section?
That's all on the news section. Unless you guys have any news.
We got nothing, man.
Yeah. I can't think of anything easy.
There was a tournament in Sweden now, which I think it was quite big for being Sweden. Like, I think it was probably close to 30, at least.
Oh, nice. That's good.
And we had the alpha tier list time. We had 3 Daughters of Cain. Sylvaneth was there, but Legion of Blood took it out. People weren't prepared for the charging knights. Apparently, I wasn't there. It's a shame, but they did good. I won.
All right. Well, we're gonna have loads of tournament news in a second, so you guys are gonna get to listen, which is fun. In this big bumper episode, I'll bring the energy back up now. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bring the big energy back up, and say, has anyone played a game quickly before we go on to the next session? Has anyone played a game or painted a model this week? And what was it? I played 2 games with my Legion of Asgore versus Speckles. I now have a book where I write information in. I'm working on this is going to sound really shitty, so I'm just going to say it real quick. I'm working on a training manual for myself for Age of Sigmar, which hopefully when I'm finished it, I can give to everyone else. There we go. Sounds stupid, I know, but that's what I'm working on. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
How'd the game go?
Huh?
How'd the game go?
The games went well. The first game I lost because
Do you want to read it out the book?
No. Well, so the first game I lost.
Chapter 1.
So the first thing I did was I highlighted in his list. If you guys care, what I did was I highlighted in his list his threats or the things that I had to take out. Yeah, or not even had to take out, but the things that I put down as important things.
His key things.
His key elements, which we all kind of do, right? Like if Nagash is on the board, that's a key element. But actually, sometimes it's the other way around. A lot of tactics people talk about when they talk about Nagash is ignore Nagash and just kill everything around him because he's only one model. He can only usually hold one objective, unless it happens to be, something like 3 places of arcane power, where actually that's quite important. So what I did was I looked at my army because some of my army, the magma cannons, does mortal wounds. Some of my army just does lots of damage but can't get through armor. So that would be my Kadai Fireborn. So I was like, okay, I want my magma cannons to shoot at his Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon that has Ignore Rend, or the guy that's got Mystic Shield on because he's on a 3-up rerolling 1s and I've got no Rend in that army. And then the other guy, so that's what the magma cannons do. And then the Kadai Fireborn's job is to go and kill the Prince Vordrai who's just on a 3-up save. Right, so 1s and 2s get all those D3 damage through. So I wrote that down before I started, and I was talking about positioning the units in my army. So all I was doing was thinking about positioning as opposed to winning the game. So I was like, okay, these are the matchups that I want to try and create. The other addition to that is obviously I then also need to think about gaining objectives at the same time. So that becomes like problematic in that's an additional thought process. But I'm just slowly trying to train myself. I'm slowly trying to train myself.
To
and
think
also
of
like
more than one thing at the time. Think of more than one thing at the same time.
Yeah, well, I was thinking of 2 things and writing stuff down and talking to Simon, who's a babe. It was
very distracting. Very distracting.
Very distracting.
Yeah.
So the first game I lost, but I think I was using
the wrong book.
Yeah, the wrong dwarves. I was actually playing with. I was using. Oh God, what's his name? The guy on the Bull Centaur.
The Ashen.
Drazaroth the Ashen. And he sucks. He is just rubbish. He's amazing as a tank. Like, he's a good, tough, unmovable unit, realistically. But that doesn't really achieve much because he's a single model. So if holding objectives, usually he outnumbered me. But he did fight 30 Grimgas Reapers for 5 rounds of combat and didn't die, which was pretty incredible. 5 turns. My turn, I charged him on turn 1, and at the end of turn 5, or end of turn 4, he was still there for the entire time. So it was a big deal. Whereas in the first game, I just sat him out of the way. So that was good, but he's probably going to go out my list because he sucks, if I'm honest. But then he cast 2 spells. So iffy.
2 spells, and he sat there for 5 turns against Grimgrass.
What mission did you play?
That one, we played 2. we played the better part of Valor, and we also played Focal Points as well. Focal Points I lost, but it's because he used a command point. He's playing Legions and Nagash, and he just put 500 points back on the board. He put a unit of 20 chain gas back on the board, and then a unit of 30 Grimgas Reapers back on the board on turn 4. And I was like, I can win this game on objectives, but I'd already expended so much of my force that I couldn't kill another unit of 30 Grimgas Reapers. And I suppose really that's the power of the Legions and Nagash, and probably the power of summoning. An extra 500 points on the board was just horrific, realistically. But yeah, really interesting, real fun. We had loads of fun. I learnt loads, and I made some massive mistakes, which I wrote down. I was just which weren't game-changing as in I lost. They were just big mistakes, and that's the thing I'm trying to develop. I'm trying to learn to play without making mistakes.
Oh, okay. I thought you were trying to develop your mistakes.
Yeah, I'm trying to make the mistakes better, if anything.
I'm going to make a bigger mistake next time.
Louis Thurin says this is the longest excuse I've ever heard for a loss.
Yeah, that's going to end up with what losers say. I made some mistakes and I learned from them.
You are going to go up all Michael Jackson or something. You did a big chimp to write in your book too. I don't think so. Hooker Pin says I finally started working on my 1,000 points of Daughters of Cain and was supposed to be playing at Age of Chumps tonight, but I've been advised to rest. I hope you're well. Twitch I built some Shiny Spears and Autarch Skyrunner out of some old jet bikes and loads of Dark Elf bits, and I played 3 games against Space Wolves, destroyed them all in three poor puppies. Bless them. So yeah, and also have the new books. Have the new books had FAQs? The Stormcast book and the Nighthawk book.
No idea.
Yeah.
I can check when you go on. I can check.
Lutheran, Throck, Shining Spears are particularly good at 40k. But all I'm trying to do is slow, because I've got a year to learn this army. And it's some of it, what was really interesting, actually, can I ask you two about this? What was really interesting when playing in the game of Simon, in between playing game 1 and game 2, I was like, Drazaroth sucks. And we talked about it, and then he said, why don't you change it for X? Yeah? He's like, how many points is he? 320 points. Why don't you change him for, you could almost get another unit of 12 Kadai, which are amazing, by the way, and they fought like 2 Vampire Lords and Zombie Dragons on their own.
Cheap. The Kadai are too cheap.
Yeah, too cheap. But he said, why don't you change it for X? Why don't you change it for X? I was like, no, Simon, this is the army I have. I can't change anything. Stop. Can't change anything. All we can do is learn to use these things better. And that was a fascinating process. And I wonder if this marries any other conversations you guys have ever had on the tabletop. When you've played one game and you've lost or you've won, and have you ever said, what stuff do I change? Which seems like a really interesting methodology, because in chess or you can't change any of the pieces, right? In checkers, you can't change any of the pieces. In poker, you can't change any of the cards. In Magic the Gathering, you can change your deck, but the big question is actually, before you change your deck, is the way you were using your deck or the way you're using your units wrong? So in the second game, I used Drazaroth to go and just sit next to a unit of Grimgas Reapers and just fight them for the whole game. Simon's mistake was probably fighting me for 5 turns. He probably should have run those 30 Grimgas Reapers off and gone and murdered the rest of my army. But it was really interesting just stopping each other and saying, we're not going to talk about changing anything. All we're going to do is learn to use these units better. And I used Drazaroth. He still sucks. Yeah, he's still rubbish, in my opinion. But he works really, really well in the second game when I played. Do you know what I mean by this? Have you ever gone through this process?
Well, yeah, I mean, so, when I first started playing, obviously I had a limited amount of models. So after you played the game, you'd look at the game. You wouldn't be thinking about what can I change it for, because all of your models are on the table anyway. So then you start thinking about how you can play, how you could have played the game differently to win. And that's with what you've got. And I think that's a great way of looking at it, definitely.
John, what do you think?
No, I agree. That should be the first... that's always my initial reaction to.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather...
And if I would have moved X over there instead, would it change or?
Yeah, I'd rather get a list to win before I started changing it than change it because it's not winning.
Say that again.
I'd rather try and get a list to win if it's not winning than just to change it because it's not winning.
Yeah, and that was the amazing bit where we stopped each other, and I'm just like, I was like, let's not change anything. Let's just work out how to use these units.
Make it work. Yeah.
And most people don't do that, right? That's not my experience. I've always been like, what's a better unit? What's a better way I could do that job role? Like how? But to follow up, Heinrad in the chat said that seems to be the post-game advice all the time. Change X for unit Y. I made a conscious effort to play the same army over and over until I played it better, and it took me from last at a local tournament to first, says Heinrad. And maybe that's what people do. Maybe that's what people do all the time, but it's never been the process I've gone through. The process I've always gone through is, I should change it for this, or I should change it for that.
No, they're shit. I need to change them out. That's because you're some sort of Warhammer whore or something. What was that funny beeping noise? Is that
that's Chuckabutty TV is sending me Facebook messages, and we're hearing it as we're doing it.
Talking about Warhammer whores.
Yeah,
How's it going, Chuckabutty?
Lutheran says, Lutheran in the chat saying, this is the longest excuse I've ever heard for a loss. Positive victim, 2 players with equal skill. One uses the same list all the time, the other adapts as their understanding of the game increases. The second chap will win more games than the first. One uses... and this all comes off the back of, I've been reading that book, Nathan, that I sent you. And I've been
That other book.
Yeah, that other book you've read. You read that along with listening to the podcast at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's where this is my little handbook and my training thing. It's really interesting anyway. And hopefully when we do the next section where we talk about the tiers for the different armies for Age of Sigmar, then my advice, following on from the show the other week, is pick an army and play it for a year.
And get somebody to throw coconuts at your gonads.
Get someone to throw coconuts to your gonads is the other advice. Jonathan, do you want to add anything on to that advice? Play an army for a year, someone throw coconuts at your gonads, and...
Rochambeau for initiative.
Rochambeau for initiative! And if someone's not sure what Rochambeau is, it's kicking each other in the balls. It's not very inclusive of you, Jonathan. What if, number one, you don't have balls for any particular reason, or you can't kick?
I don't think the wording is that it have to be in the balls, is it?
Just kick them in the
girl balls.
Yeah, in the girl balls.
But what if you can't kick? What if you got one of them really cool Captain a Captain Pike wheelchair?
Just play the game. Play the game.
Play the game.
Yeah, that's it. Use your wheelchair.
All right. Okay. Positive victim, I always change everything, but I get quickly bored of using the same shiz. And you can't really question that methodology coming from one of the best players, I think, in the UK, and that's obviously Darren Watson. That's who positive victim is in the chat. And he creates some incredibly interesting lists.
Yeah, it's fair enough
really
to change your list all the time as a thing, but don't do it just because you're losing with that list. Do it because you want to change. You're bored of what you're playing with. But don't just change. I've lost with this. They're no good. That can't be the reason why to change your list.
I think a good example is for Byron from the Facehammer.
Yeah.
He played his list quite a long time, right? And he wasn't winning anything until the end there.
Yeah, it's true. Some argue he still doesn't know all the rules for all of his units, but that's a different conversation.
I'm just looking at the results, man.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Donaldinho, the grot terrorist himself, is here. He says, but it took 10 I think be flexible if it's the first time playing the faction. My Moonclan list was basically unchanged for 20 to 25 games on the trot. And he says, but it took me 10 games to get the right balance of what I wanted to play. And then Heinrad says, I think people change units because they want a magic fix. I've changed my list over time, but I forced myself to play at least 3 games before considering changes, which I think might be good advice.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you do need to change the list if you want it to be competitive, I guess. But
I think the healthy way to do it is to play each scenario twice, at least twice. I mean, at least scenario.
Well, the scenario also changes up how units perform, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And then OJ says the unit probably isn't shit, you're just playing it wrong, like a chef with a recipe always takes a while to perfect. But this is the other really interesting conversation. This isn't meant to be what we're talking about, but I'll say it anyway. Some units, the Kadai Fireborn, for an example, from Chaos Wars, but Skyfires as was, or let's take the Eels from Idoneth Deepkin, yeah? They're just probably too good for their points in comparison to another unit that does, if you take the Eels as a really good example, they're a fast combat unit, right? But they're also, they can take a punch back-ish. They've got 4 wounds each, they've got 4 up save. They're decent. But compared to points-wise to a different unit, they're better almost all the time. Points for points, they're probably one of the best offensive combat units in the game. Because they can get the charge off because their movement is so much faster than other people's. So there's that conversation where, yeah, I might be using the unit bad, but also this unit might also be really shit. And it's hard to gauge sometimes where that's it, especially in this game, because lots of the units are underpointed or overpointed quite heavily, I think.
I feel the major issue with, let's say, Skyfires and the Eels, or units that are good versus everything, is that either they are pointed too low or too high. When they don't have a specific purpose. They
Yes.
don't have you know what I mean? So I feel like when they increase the points for them, they'll probably kill off the unit from a competitive point of view.
Yeah, that's good. Someone's saying, Dude says the short version, Rob is playing Australian Warhammer, where models are so expensive you can't afford to change things. And that might really come from my conversation with Dan Brewer, where he was talking about skewing, and also from the fucking superstar that is Dispossessed Dan, and the fact that, number one, he plays the worst dwarfs, but also, number two...
Shut your face, man.
But also
That's the end of the podcast.
Also, ram this microphone up your butthole.
Where he also comes from a place where all those guys have just stuck with an army and played it through, and then just got better and better and better with those armies, and that's maybe it really affecting me. But Milky Badger hits it nail on the head. I think says I change units because I have a financially crippling model addiction like all of you, and really that conversation of maybe I should change unit for X is only really beneficial to one group of people, which is Games Workshop. Like, it's beneficial to us in that we might get better armies as well. But that really isn't... You've got to play... I think you have to play 3 or 4 games with a unit or a couple of units before you can even understand whether or not you're shit or it's shit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then the only people...
What do you do if you find out if it's you that's shit?
Well, then you can improve, which is really important. Like, you can get better. You can improve your skill sets, yeah? And identifying whether or not something shit is a skill set in of itself before, when you get to the list... Because list building is a massive skill, right? Like, some people make incredibly innovative and smart lists, and some people just copy those lists, and that's fine. So there's a bunch of skills to be learned in Warhammer, but I think it's done better if you just stick to an army. I think you get better at those skills. I think the jumping around between the armies makes you, like, you don't have evidence to stack it on top of. And people, like, in the chat here, anyway.
There's 2 sides to that coin, isn't there? Because if you do play lots of armies, then you're more likely to understand your opponent's army.
Which is what, because you didn't hear this because you weren't here, but I happened to run into...
When I was listening to the thing the other day, yeah. It was on there, I'm sure.
Well, I ran into Jervis Johnson at Broadway just before I came and did the show when we did the 40k show.
Yeah.
And we were doing the terminology for 40k, and he said that the thing that they're the term he's banding around at the minute, like the term he's kind of exploring, is system mastery. And what you mean, playing lots of armies gives you better system mastery because you understand how most of the armies work a little bit.
Yeah.
But
so then you used to understand your opponent better, but then you've got to have enough games under your belt to be able to do that. Really.
Yeah. So there is 2 sides to that coin. I agree loads.
Yeah.
Right, anything on that? I'm sorry that came up, but I just thought it was an interesting thing that I took from that game. Sorry.
Probably 3 sides to the coin.
3 sides
I mean,
to a
one's
coin.
really thin.
Are they
It's
still
called the
coins
rim.
from Gringotts?
There you go. Gringotts?
I hope everyone else in the chat saw that. Speckle says, I'm going to stick with my twin dragons. Need to keep them together. I've just got around 200 points to play with, keeping everything else the same. Merchant Prince says, it's like when you cook something and you mess it up, but you don't know whether it's the recipe or your skills until you try it more than once. Milky Badger, I change units because I have a financial... Oh, no, we've done that one. Fallen Angel says, lies. They are perfectly pointed, talking about the eels. I think he doesn't want us to mention that. Speckles, I think if you change the unit size over the points, I'll have it better effect. And then Spider Penny, I agree. I've always been playing the same Nurgle list for the past 20-ish games, and now knowing how all of my units work inside out helps in whatever scenario. Merchant Prince, I've noticed there's no option for dispossessing the strongest AOS army poll. You're risking a grudge there. Yeah, so there's a poll as an overlay on the Twitch show, and you can pick which you think is the strongest AOS faction.
Obviously, you can't put dispossessed on there because otherwise they would just win it outright and nobody would vote for anything else. So we really want to know what the second strongest one is. That's what we're saying.
Right. Staying with an army will increase your understanding of the game, says Positive Victim, and then allow you to make informed changes, which I think is a great point as well. Combat Phase Podcast, I'm assembling an Erebor army, Dwarf Blood Bowl team, kill team at the moment, so I'm not one to judge. And then Archean says, grudges from a dead race aren't that worrying. Fucking yes, Archean, you stick the fucking knife in. The Chaos Dwarfs aren't dead, mate. Fucking alive and well.
Chaos Dwarves were never alive.
Yeah, they're alive.
They were never a thing.
Right, okay.
Besides,
everyone on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, everyone also, thank you to everyone on Patreon.
My hammer, then you'll feel about that grudge.
And on Twitch for subscribing, Patreon for being a Patreon. You guys help make this show a thing. We're now going to do the main section of the day, right?
Are we going to do the news yet?
We've done the news.
Oh.
Unless you've got any news to add.
Do we have any fake news?
Fake news? Yeah, we should do one every week.
News.
Fake news. There's a new battle tome come out, and it's hippos being ridden by...
Squirrels.
Squirrels! Can I say this?
What's the faction called?
Hippos are one of the most dangerous animals in the world. Kill
They
more than
are.
sharks. Why is there not a fucking hippo army? Question. To everyone in the room.
Hip.
Huh?
I love that hippo in what's it called? Madagascar. No, the zoo movie. What's it called? Oh, is it Madagascar?
Yeah, Madagascar.
Moto. The name's so nice, you say it twice. Fucking love that guy.
Oh. So, river cows, exactly. Battle Tome Hungry Hippos. So that's coming out soon, I think.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Can't wait.
What units do you want to see in there?
Hippos.
Hippos.
Yeah, but then what hippo? Do you want hippo cavalry? Like, do you want flying hippos? Do you want hippos that have guns on them? Do you want, like, hippos that fling other hippos? Do you want a hippo catapult? Do you want adult hippos launching baby hippos that are on fire via a catapult? What do you want?
Child soldiers? No. Don't want that.
No, you don't want that.
No.
Well, then what do you want?
Hippos. Just loads of hippos.
Please give me more. Please say more than just hippos. Jonathan.
You can put some armor on some of them.
Armoured hippos.
Yeah.
They don't need armor. Their skin is so thick, man.
It's oily. It'd be like
Yeah.
slippery. It'd be like trying to grab a naked man covered in butter.
Why would you want to
Yeah.
be grabbing it? You'd be stabbing
And
it.
they can have like water terrain pieces, so they get triple the movement and shit. And yeah. Hippos shooting hippos. That's
Hippos shooting hippos is the future, I think. And then
from
are
their ass.
the squirrels riding them?
Yeah. They're just hanging
Well,
on for their
the-
life.
Much better than the hippos riding the squirrels, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
I
would
think-
be cool, though. Because then they could go up trees as well, like really effective.
Agile hippos.
Would you want tiny squirrels riding giant hippos, or would you want teeny tiny hippos riding giant squirrels?
Just normal-sized hippos riding giant squirrels. I think that's a killer combination.
I think so. OJ10 says they would be called hippie romancers. You could have
Yeah.
wizardy hippos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hippos doing magic.
So that's been the fake news. Yeah. Happy with that?
Sounds great, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we could do the same one next time.
We'll do a different one next time.
Oh, okay.
Is that because I always talk about hippos whenever we do the fake news?
Yeah.
You laughing? It's because it's the only thing I care about. Until they release hippos, I don't give a shit about anything. Right. So, before we get started, everyone in the Twitch chat, everyone live, who do you think... So, I got a big shout-out. There's some shout-outs to do at the end of this section. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go through all the factions, and we're going to say how many games we think that they would win at a 5-game tournament, even though we should play 6 games, pussies, would win at a 5-game tournament played by just like an average player. Yeah? And they've got the potential to win. So that's the idea. And then we're going to bracket them. Yeah? So there's 5 games, there's 4 to 5 games, there's 4 games, there's 3 to 4 games, and so on. All the way down to Thunderstorm, which we probably won't do because they aren't going to be in
They're in a new book.
They're going to be in a new book. So they are NA. And then at the end of this, we have the past, apart from Bobo, because for some reason we were not able to get the information.
Tried.
Oh, it's okay. Including Nova, LLV has been a superstar, and he also has got. I've got it on the notes. I need to do a shout out to. My shout out is going to Canhammer Darren, Relian, James and John at WarGamesCon, Fluxy, and Martin Orlando and Joe K. He's put all of the information together into a sheet, which I'm going to bring up on the screen at the end of the show. Yeah. So there's that pool of information doesn't colour what we're thinking. Yeah. And then we can go back and change some of it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So I'm not supposed to look at the stuff?
Not yet.
Oh, well.
Not yet. Not yet.
I'll look at this other stuff.
Okay. Good. All right. So is everyone happy with that? And then the question is what's everyone's bet? What does everyone think it's going to be?
I'll put £4 down.
Who do you think is the most consistently performing competitive army in Age of Sigmar? Jonathan and Nathan.
Hippos.
Not hippos. They're not real yet, but they will be real.
The most consistently performing army?
Yeah.
I think it is...
What, performing
well.
Performing...
And this is only AOS 2, right? This is no AOS 1.
This is only from AOS 2.
The most consistent top performing army?
Yeah.
Or not?
So the most consistent performing top army, so which comes in the top 10, and not only comes in the top 10, also has the biggest win rate.
So which is the best army? Is that what you're asking?
Basically.
I think
based on
it's
stats.
Daughters of Cain. I think it's Daughters of Cain.
Okay. And then Nathan?
Nurgle. Magotkin.
Okay.
They are.
So Donaldinho says Grotz, obviously. Spleen Thief says Stormcast Eternals. Positive Victim says Daughters of Cain. Nikos says Stormcast Eternals, and Dunade says Daughters of Cain. So those are some of the guesses that we got on the Twitch chat. And if you guys, Daughters, Hook and Pin says Daughters so far, but Grotz are close. Positive Victim says they're the easiest to use. Talking about Daughters of Cain. Dak Flame says small planes used to frequently land on the road near my house, so they could get beer from the liquor store. It took him to do that. I don't know why I read that. I'm so sorry. Twitch Azilia says Lisa's in the gas. So Hook and Pin was the is currently the top donator on Twitch, so she gets to decide which Grand Alliance we do first of the 4. Yeah, so we can do it via Grand Alliance because sometimes we tend to miss. We focus on the big battle tomes or factions, and then we tend to miss some of them. So we're just going to go through the Grand Alliances, so they can bookmark this. So at 118 in the show, we should write that down. That's when whatever she decides as we're starting. I think she's going to pick order. Which would you want to do first, Nathan? Destruction?
Yeah.
Which would you want to do first, John?
It does not matter to me.
It matters not to you.
Oh, am I the deciding vote? No.
No, there's no deciding vote. Hook and Pin made the biggest donation, so
I'll go with
Hook and Pin's answer. She? I think he's she. I think Hook and Pin's a lady.
Let's go with she.
Almost
I'll go with Hook and Pin's answer.
Order, please.
Neutral.
I think I know Hook and Pin. If I'm wrong, I feel really embarrassed now. Pretty certain she's lady. So she's gone for order. Is everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
Let's go. So, one of the biggest. We'll do it in alphabetical order. So, if you go onto we're doing it in alphabetical order. If you go on the War Scroll Builder app, big shout out to Tony P, superstar, then it's in order of that, so you can go through. So, order first, and obviously the first one in order is mixed order. How many games do you think that's going to win?
That's not alphabetical.
It is in my We're always starting out with the mixed version of the army. Yeah, you dicks, right? Hukapin is a girl. I was correct.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, you've got the evidence.
Hey, Mac. You fucking creepy old weirdo. Yeah? Get the fuck off the show. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Sorry, Hukapin.
Apologies. Right. Mixed order. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Stop talking about the alphabeticalness of it. How many games do you think? Jonathan, you're first.
I think mixed order can win.
Yeah, we're voting how many numbers it can win.
How many games out of 5 you think it can win?
I think it can win at the big tournament. I think it can win 4.
4? Nathan?
Yeah, 4.
I would say 3 to 4. So seems comfortable with me. Do you want to give any reasons as to why? It's got the biggest model selection.
Yeah. It's just got it's got everything to do everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, it should win all of them.
Yeah, it's got.
The only thing it's lacking, obviously, then is allegiance abilities that are like specific, like really toned allegiance abilities.
Mm-hmm.
But model-wise, it's got the tools that can do everything. You can pick and choose command abilities. So if you want something to kill hordes, there's something in order that can do that.
Yeah.
If you want something that can cast spells, there's a few things in order that can do that. So there's a choice of everything.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But it's just the allegiance abilities and maybe specific art, like the order artifacts.
But then that's greatly improved by the fact that you can take realm artifacts.
Yeah, exactly. So and then also now if you're playing in the realms of magic, then you've got those spells possibly. Yeah. So that could also then be a bit of a boost to the order because they can do magic all right.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Positive Victim says average Joe. He reckons only 3 games. Then Rograk says 1. Hi, Tom. Meermouse says 4. And also, hi, Meermouse. 4 with the Tenebral Shard alone. There we go. Hi, SG Skellington. Have I missed it? Just finished my din-dins. No, we're just starting.
It's a good thing you finished your dinner.
Yeah, you finished your din-dins. Right, so orders 3 to 4. I think that feels comfortable. Tenebral Shard is a good shout. Like Frostart Phoenixes are still really solid.
Saying like we say, you've got the chance of taking anything in order, and there's everything there. So what stops it being a 5-game winner?
What stops it? I don't think that they have so they don't have some of the powerhouses. In allegiance abilities and that's really good because what the other question I was going to ask, although we have to be conscious of time for each faction, is does that faction change the meta or does it change your list building? I think is a better way to put it. When you think about it, as an example, the Stormcast versus Nighthaunt conversation is. Okay, I want really, really good rend on all of my weapons so I can get through all the Stormcast armor. Deal.
It's really hard to optimize versus a mixed order list unless you know what's in the list, right?
Yeah, but sorry, what I'm trying to say is, but then Nighthaunt ignores rend. Yeah, so the rend that you've brought to deal with
a Stormcast army
doesn't work against the Nighthaunt. So then you think, okay, I'll take Mortal Wounds, but then the Mortal Wounds don't work against a Horde army. They'll just punch through elite armies. So you've got some really interesting conversations. So I don't think mixed order brings anything to like me when I write army lists. I think okay, I might have to fight Phoenixes, yeah, but they don't really bring anything unique because their allegiance abilities don't bring anything unique that I have to overly worry about. Stormcast, I have there are other bigger threats that I have to think about when I'm going to go to a tournament, and those are normally Stormcast. Although less so, I think. Nighthaunt, I have to think about Ideth Deepkin, I have to think Daughters of Cain, I have to think about Legions of Nagash. Those are things that I think about that are on my radar, and there's nothing in order, mixed order. It contains all of those elements, but they're more dangerous in their own factions, in my opinion. What do you think? Why didn't you give them 5 games?
I guess
I think at the tournament scene now,
all of those that you previously mentioned are at the tournaments or will be at the tournaments. And all of those that you mentioned probably feels stronger, like spontaneously feels stronger than the mixed order. And that's why they won't win the whole thing.
You also struggle to take battalions. So like, or you still can take battalions though, but you struggle.
Yeah, you can't take battalions.
And also changing up your battle line, so having to use mixed order battle line because that's your allegiance ability.
They've got one of the better selections.
Yeah, they definitely have, but they're not as good as like when the All-Gorgrunter army, as an example. You know, like being able to just upgrade that way is such a massive bonus.
But then again, I mean, I don't have the realms in my equation at the moment, and they will be in the future for sure.
Yeah.
And that really bumps up the competitiveness of the mixed order list, I think.
I don't think so, because wherever they have wizards or multi-casting wizards, so wizards that cast more than one spell a turn, they're outclassed by other armies that are able to do so. Tzeentch is a good example. Death is a good example, and also Destruction is also an incredibly good example. So I don't. Yeah,
but it's nothing. Yes, sure, but it's nothing negative towards the mixed order list.
Do you know? Right. This is why I didn't want to do order first. Yeah, this is why because what we're going to do is spend 45 minutes talking about this, and
you did hook him in. You had one job.
You had one job. So anyway, I think that effectively gives you some information as to our decision, right?
Yeah.
So 3 to 4, and I don't think there's anything in mixed order that you obviously aren't going to find in the other factions' allegiance abilities, but better.
Personally, I think they've got all the tools, and like we saw with AOS 1, come the end of it, they were winning a lot of games, and I think as people start to play them more, I think they'll be more 4 to 5.
Okay.
That's my gut feeling.
So you want to go for 4 as opposed to 3 to 4. And so do you, John. So in votes, I'm taking it. I'm sticking with it. Right, next up, Darkling Covens. So this is going to be Executioners, this is going to be Blackguard, this is going to be Bleak Swords and Dark Shards.
2.
This is going to be a
2. 2 to 3, something like that.
Yeah.
2 to 3?
Yeah.
2 to 3. So
that's probably him.
Is there anything in that faction that you think changes how you would think about playing games?
No.
Not really. They're a decent enough army, but they're not. There's no standout one thing that they do, which
You know what really bothers me about that army?
Go for it.
That the dragons have 5-up saves.
Whoa, it's actually the sorceress on the dragon that has the 5-up save.
Yeah, but she drags the dragon down with her, though.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think, and incredibly overcosted. I think it's maybe 300 points. No, she's not that now. But it's like, it's comparable to a Frostheart Phoenix, which is ludicrous in its save ability, versus the sorceress on Black Dragon.
Yeah, because although she's got a spell, her spell is not. I think it's black. It's Blade Wind or something like that. It's not. It's nothing to write home about. Fair enough, she'll now have access to the realm spells, but at the moment, who knows? It depends what tournament you're playing as to what realm spell or whatever, how that's going to work. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
But they're a solid enough combat army, and they've got some interesting mechanics with their.
They're a really good combat army. Like, the issue is movement, I think, for that army. They can't get those units places, and then they don't have any internal synergy because they don't really have battle tone. I mean, they do have some allegiance abilities, which they've got, but...
They've got the fairly interesting, and they've got some artifacts which can help, especially with the movement thing, like you're saying. They've got that flask thing, which is not bad for that turn.
Well, maybe, I think in Realm of Shadow, it will be a pain to meet them.
Yeah. And Realm of Fire, and stuff like that, yeah.
Realm of Fire, I mean, the Executioners is the unit that do damage in that book, right?
Yeah,
that Allegiance.
Blackguard are also great.
Blackguard are really good for their points.
For their points.
Yeah. And
I feel like they can hit it once, they can't hit it twice. So they can't take a punch.
Alright, but they don't, anyway, so they don't bring anything different, effectively to the game. So Positive Victim says 1. Luciferin says 0 to 5.
That guy knows
Great
what he's
job.
talking about.
Meermouse says -1. Combat Phase Podcast says 2. Computer says 1. For me, I feel like they can win 2 to 3, but I think 3 would be pushing it personally.
Yeah. Have a good tournament if you win.
If you were playing everyone else, if you were playing at an even skill level, Nate, that's what I'm talking about. If everyone was good, I think that would be thinking about all the other things that are out there in the world. I think it would be super hard.
Yeah.
But so 2 to 3, and that I think is generous. Right, Daughters of Cain.
6.
6 games. 5, I think.
Yeah, they can win a tournament.
Yeah, 5. So why do we think that? What do they bring to the game that is different to other armies, or what do they bring to the game that they do better than other armies?
They just
quality hordes with quality to depths.
So they're majoritively a combat army.
They're a combat army. It's a combat meta at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And although you say hordes, I think they're just as good in an MSU style. I think the snakes are probably better in a horde, and then the little witches and blocks of 10.
I like the witch elves and Hagnar, man. Choo choo, pew choo, choo choo. Smash up everything.
Their characters are really cheap. The hags.
Yeah. The hags. Yeah.
They ignore battle shock. That's challenging. They have 5 up. They have 5 up after damage. After damage rolls. That's what
Twice.
That's what we call after damage saves. After damage rolls, ADRs.
ADRs, nice.
ADRs.
Nice.
You should listen to the 40k
Took us
show.
2 years to get there.
No, what we're going to do the same thing that we've done for the 40k show, where we took all the terminology and then we broke it down, and we're going to do it for the Age of Sigmar show. But it should be a little bit simpler because some of those terms we can cross over now, which is quite useful. And obviously we've got our own, like Squidgian.
Squat.
So the people in the chat are saying silly value and efficient. Jason D. Fluffer, while you asked the question, they already won the tournament. Marathi's bonkers on Arcane Power, quality battle line and hordes. Marathi's Marathi, another one, Arcane Power. We can list that OP shit for days. Okay, so DPR, thank you, DPR. Damage prevention roll, that's what it's called. So 5 games. So they're a horde combat army that are incredibly tanky, difficult to deal with. You struggle to shoot them. Is there a way for people to deal with them? What if you were thinking about playing them at a tournament? What would be the way to go deal with them in your opinion?
My first objective would be to take out the cauldron and then have decimator style units to deal with the rest.
Yeah, if you can kill the characters, then you've got a better chance. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'd say if I can take out the cauldron turn 1, I'm in a good place.
Okay.
The cauldron. Sometimes they don't have a cauldron, and they're still.
Sometimes they do it wrong, man. They should always have a cauldron.
I think the hags have also got to be a prime target, really. Once you get rid of the battle shock, and then you can get into the witches, then you can make them.
Yeah, if you can make,
especially if they're in hordes.
Yeah, if you can make it so they're battle shock, they're affected by battle shock. That's the key. Then I think you take them out quite easy. But you do have to say that because they are, like, if you're taking a load of witches, or even if you're taking a big horde of snakes, most people don't bring anti-horde units in the game. That's not what they bring. Because if you bring like the eels as an example, I keep going to them because they're one of the most offensive combat units in the game. Yeah, they've got great render of 2 and they can do damage too. Like, when they go in and fight a unit like that, or when they go to punch, I'm really struggling because I forgot where that was going when I was using them as an example. Oh, right, sorry, yeah. No, hold on. They do really, really well against a big unit of Stormcast, like an elite Stormcast, like an elite defensive unit. They do really well against them, yeah, and they do really well against a big monster, and they do the same amount of damage to the unit of a horde, but they don't quite tip the scale against a horde and do the damage that you would want if you took an anti-horde unit. Like Croxagore are a good example. Like, one against a unit of witches, 3 Moonhammers will get, I don't know, fucking 20, 30 attacks.
Eels are a bad example, man.
Well, you think they're too...
because a unit of 9 eels is good versus any horde.
Okay.
So many attacks.
Yeah, okay. I'll take
but
that.
Like retributors or something like with quality attacks, like a big monster, for example. Or
So, guys in the chat are saying, Zen Mini says, I've set up my projector and now watching a life-size Rob and Nathan. It's more beautiful than ever with the Troggoth tag. Jonathan, we're going to have to try and get you a vid feed up of you, I think, in the next few weeks. That's going to be the next thing that I've been thinking about.
I have a webcam for €2.
I know you do, but let's not talk about our Skype dates. Marathi is such a good-looking model as well, says Direwolf. His is probably his favourite painted one, which I think is cool. You've got to kill the Cauldron of Blood, Scryer, Deep State, or Scryer, Deep, and burn all the heroes, then charge the rest. LOV says 120 skeletons reanimating is a good way of dealing with them. Release the Ripidactyls, all hail the Bloat-Toad. All hail. And then what about the Stormcast Reeks with pole arms? Yeah, so like anti-horde units might be interesting. But anyway, they'll win 5 games at a tournament, or they could win 5 games at a tournament. And the ways to deal with them is you need to take out their hordes, you need to also take out their characters, you also need to beat them. Those are the basic ways
to kill everything.
Just kill everything, right?
Yeah, if they're all dead, then you're going to win.
What would you say? Chaff would work, being able to chaff them up.
That's a good way of stopping them killing you,
which is positive. Yeah.
Because they do. I mean, they have got at some shooting. They've got the snakes with bows, but more often than not, you'll see the ones with stabs.
Yes. The bows is often considered attacks, right? If you take an information, aren't they?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
We're getting too specific, man. Aren't we?
Yes.
If you're gonna do all the factions.
We are. Cool.
Okay, next up, Devoted to Sigmar. Did you forget they were a faction?
What are those?
Oh, yeah.
Devoted to Sigmar is Flagellants, the War Altar, 1 game.
Yeah, 1 or 2 games.
I'm going for 1. If you can do better than that,
if you win a game, well done.
Here is the next one, and they bring nothing unique to the game. They don't have any allegiance abilities. They've got very few units, which are all the reasons that we talk about them. They don't have any monsters.
Yeah, if you're playing at a tournament where you're all equal skill level, then you'll struggle.
Yeah. Next up, this is going to cause some issues. The second best dwarfs in Age of Sigmar, the Dispossessed.
The best dwarves in the whole of the universe.
How many games do you think, as 2 Dispossessed players, realistically, do you think you could win?
7 to 8.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Jonathan.
Yeah, 7 to 8 is I think 3 to 4.
No, come on, man.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're pretty
3 to 4.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
What do they bring to the game, and what can they do that's different, and why can they go over the average? Why are they able to not win 3? Why are they able to go 3 to 4?
Because they have a 24-inch no-go zone, and some people can't handle that. And then they go into the zone, and then they die.
So are you saying they're like the border between South and North Korea? Like there's a there's a no-go zone.
But they're great if you play them right. You play them in a block, and you just create a zone around you where stuff cannot go because it will die.
Are you sure? Are you talking against daughters, against these in the gash? Are you sure?
I think they're quite decent against daughters, actually.
Yeah, I played with them against daughters at the Throne of Skulls, and it was a full-on daughters list, and it handled them with hardly a problem.
So we've got some hot gossip quickly in the chat here. The honest wargamer says, so Archean says they bring bad smells to the game and people with hopes higher than their army can do, and then 3 laughy faces. He's just called you a dick, basically, like the internet normally does when you do anything on it. So you think 3?
Yeah,
3 or 4.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Can I say 3?
You can say whatever you want.
So,
we won't listen.
Yeah. we've already said 7 to 8.
I'm gonna take it to 3 because I think.
Okay, the only thing that they get bummed by, obviously, is
movement.
No, but that's less of an issue, really.
Because most of the objectives now from the General's Handbook 2018, you start closer.
Yeah, you can start closer, and because it is objectives, you defend objectives really well. And then you've got like the golden pickaxe thing for going out, the ancestral pickaxe for going out and getting an objective. So you're quite good at the smash and grab thing. But the other thing was, what was it saying?
There's something good there, I imagine.
Oh man, it was great.
The problem I see with them is that you play a scenario where characters are really important, and somebody can take out all your characters in one go.
Yeah. So they don't have they don't have like super durable heroes.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is they can't really take full advantage of the realm rules with the magic unless you ally in some Stormcast wizards.
But you can. I know you guys are both resistant to it,
Yeah,
but you could.
that.
What do you think if you were to honestly take wizards as allies from Stormcast? Do you think that they would greatly improve their power?
Then I would have won 5 games with them at Stormcast.
Yeah?
Yeah. Well, I won 4 without the wizards.
Okay. John, would you agree with that? That the addition of a wizard would really help the army?
Yeah, I don't think it would put them to a solid 5, but absolutely. Let's take the Realm of Fire spell as an example. Probably the best example.
Mm.
But that spell can make that army pretty silly, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. LRV says, to be fair, there's almost 0 data on them from tournaments for AOS 2, and I would have to agree there.
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking at the data and stuff.
And also, you do get that bonus of people haven't often learned to play against them, so they don't know what's good or what's not.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Okay. So there you go. All right, so 3. Right, Free Peoples. Free Peoples.
I think they can win 3 to 4.
I agree. Jonathan?
Yeah, that's a good number for them, I think.
So
I think they.
I mean, I think you have got a chance of them winning a tournament, but it depends a bit on luck and the player and the matchups and stuff like that. But yeah, 3 to 4 against in an even level playing ground sort of scenario, I think.
Okay. My reason that I think if they didn't have those super cheap griffins, I would say 2 to 3. But the reason it goes up 2 different tiers from above 3 to 3 to 4, so above average, why do I think so? Is because those monsters give you objective taking punch, which is good. But I do think you're going to need a priority roll or 2 in the right place to be able to wipe units out. I also think that those griffins left unattended, they struggle on their own, but a couple of them going forward are useful. And they do what the dispossessed do, but they've got that mobility. They can create no-go zones in kind of the centre field.
Yeah,
but
I think they could probably create a bigger one than the dispossessed army.
Yes.
Maybe a little less killy. I don't know, actually, it'd probably be similar. They are pretty killy, aren't they? So,
yeah. So that's my thoughts. I think 3 to 4. In the chat, Positive Victim thinks 3. Combat Phase Podcast thinks 3 to 4. 4 says Lucifer and Clark. If Games Workshop didn't hate them with the crew rules, weirdly they didn't update their crew rules, but they did some other ones for no reason. Huckapin says 3, probably if they get the right scenarios. So there we go. So I think 3 to 4 fits comfortable with me, in my opinion. Sorry, Fire Slayers.
4.
Well, really? Still?
Yeah.
I think they got hit real hard, personally. I think
there's the only way they got hit is apart from some pricing, but it's the scenario where you can't do deep strike.
So what do they bring to the game that pushes them over 3 to 4? Over 3. 3 being the average.
People don't have the tools to deal with that many dwarves, I'd say.
So the horde mentality.
Yeah,
so it's the same as the witch elves.
With the after damage save, haven't they? So,
yeah.
Which is still.
So it's their ability. So it's their ability to not die is what makes them successful.
Yeah, they do need some way of buffing that up. Which again, with the realm spells, if they can ally in some Stormcast wizards, that could happen.
Okay. Combat Phase Podcast says 7 to 10, but he is a tad biased. Idimac says, Positive says 2. Idimac says 2, they got battered, Viking Man is wrong. Oh, you've gone electronic. Jonathan, you're electronic, buddy. You let me know when you can make it work. Games Workshop put Fire Slayers in the bin with Bretonius. Says Lucifer into the rock. Positive, they can't take board early enough. So he's a bit biased. Yes, I think that they don't have the tools, personally. I think they can't move onto the objectives fast enough to compete because other armies are able to move onto the objectives too fast. My feelings.
Just as fast as before, man, apart from that one mission.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you just deep strike them up as you always done. Can't you just do that?
I'm gonna go for 3.
I just think 8 is too old to move that many miniatures. He keeps forgetting which one has moved and which one hasn't moved. So
the reason I say 3 is because the other armies that pose a problem, let's say Legions of Nagash, Daughters of Cain, even Seraphon, which I think are super underrated in my opinion. The ways to deal with them is to take some anti-horde stuff, and people aren't taking anti-horde stuff. But if you're going to compete against some of the other 5 top tier armies, you're going to have to take anti-horde. And if you take anti-horde, you can deal with the Fire Slayers. Because you're dealing with skeletons, and you're dealing with blocks of Daughters of Cain, and you're dealing with blocks of Plague Bearers.
But now we're talking the future, man. We need to talk in the current state of the game.
But this is what I'm saying. Fire Slayers don't provide anything unique that you don't have as a different challenge. And if you can deal with the other challenges, you can deal with the Fire Slayers at the same time.
They do seem to have fallen out of favour.
I just think it's
players.
I mean, if you compare them to Caladron, who obviously got hit harder, it's like I just think people didn't enjoy them when they were playing them in the last edition, and then they did some minor change to them. People weren't winning tournaments like consistently with them, apart from Andy Hughes. And then they were like, "Oh no, fuck it, it's impossible now. I can't out the win with the list can't win for me anymore." And it's a tedious army to play. I mean, a lot of dudes, a lot of 4-up rolling. For me, it's not a particularly fun army, but it's still good. And when it isn't like this alpha contender anymore, or the 5 out of 5, I just think people stop playing it.
Okay.
I think if let's say Andy picked up his Fire Slayers again and tried to game hard, I still think he would be doing good with it.
All right. Okay. ADMax says the changes are massive to the list. 4-1 for each move. I think you made some fair points, John. I'm not dismissing them. I'm listening. I'm hearing it. And I'm hoping other people out there are listening and hearing it too. So their thoughts and feelings, tweet us, Facebook us, tweet Jonathan, drop us a message, tell us your thoughts if you think that it's wrong. Unfortunately, I get to be the final arbiter of the list, so I pick 3. But if people think that that's wrong, and Jonathan's right also, I am thinking about the future, but this is what the list is meant to do. If you can deal with X, then that means you can deal with Y. Those are my thoughts. So there we go. And it's meant to help people. It's like, should I buy a Fire Slayers army?
No.
Exactly. Right. Ideneth Deepkin.
5.
5. Yeah, I can probably win.
Why?
4 or 5. I'd say 5.
I think 5. I don't think it's 4 to 5. I think it's 5. But I do think there are ways to deal with it. But I think people can catch them out. Or they can be played badly. I think you could design lists. I'm almost tempted to say 4 to 5. I think you could design lists that just stop them. And they stop all the other threats. They stop charging Stormcast. They stop Daughters. These are all combat threats. These aren't shooting threats. They're all combat threats. The only thing that's different is when it's Nagash with loads of skeletons, because they're still combat threats, but then you've got Nagash there as well, who is a combat threat, but the magic damage is where the real issue is. So that's what makes me want to actually say 4 to 5, but in a balanced field, because people know that they're good.
Yeah, I would say 4 to 5 in that. Well, I don't know. They're similar to Daughters, but they don't normally bring the quantity that the Daughters bring.
Well, I also think there's 2 different versions, isn't there? So the reason, what do they bring to the game that other people don't? And it's the eels. It's incredibly fast, incredibly destructive combat units that can fly.
Yeah.
Over Stormcast, which can bring incredibly offensive combat units that can't fly. That's the difference. So you can jump over screens, you can jump over defensive walls, so they can charge the juicy shit that they want. They also get bonuses to charge. which is crazy. So they do that as well. So their charges aren't even really unrealistic. Their charges can become ridiculous. So they're really powerful for that. Is the eel build, but there's probably also a really good build with a turtle and loads of reavers. Not called reavers, are they? They're called thralls. Which people aren't taking at the minute. But if you take that build, then the anti-horde will work quite well against you. And my thoughts.
Yeah.
John, you're the Idneth Deepkin here, player here. What do you think?
I think, some lists just can't deal with eels. And there's such a big threat you really need to, as you said, like in the beginning, that you need to build your list around possibly having to face the 18 eels potentially. And I think even if you do plan for it, with a good charge roll, they can just ignore your screens and shit. I think they're strong, but I think they're a 5 out of 5 mainly because of the offensive eels.
Yeah, it's all about the eels.
But it isn't all about the eels. They have other solid units in the game as well but you have to be a bit more like. Let's say the eels, you don't need to build your list around the eels, but the other units, you probably have to build your list around them to make them work properly. But when you do, I still think it's a good list.
Yeah, I think that's if you're playing with the list, I think that is a trap that you might fall into, that you concentrate on the eels and then forget about using the other stuff. And
I painted up 12 offensive eels, and I don't plan to paint up anymore.
You've got to make sure the rest of your army is doing stuff all the time. Yeah. And if you just think, well, the game is just about these 2 units of eels or these 3 units of eels, then you could lose the game because your other stuff.
That's a good point.
I think their major weakness is probably shit that can alpha strike them turn 1 if they're on the board.
But they have.
If you can do that, because they don't 1-drop, they never 1-drop.
Yeah.
One build they 1-drop, but apart from that build they don't.
Okay. All right. Okay. And good.
Yeah.
So 4 to 5. Right. Carriage Overlords. 1.
Are they 1 though?
1.
Oh, okay. I was being a bit sarcastic. Okay, 2.
What if you do the Yo build and just stand and shoot shit?
Because they're more expensive now.
Okay.
So that would be taking mass ranks of
I think it's a 2.
Arcanauts. Arcanauts are the same price, aren't they?
They're cheaper. No, they don't have a bonus for the group now that they previously did. Yeah. Those are my thoughts. I think 2 seems fair. What do you think, John?
Yeah, 2 is fair, absolutely.
And the reason for that is they were an incredibly good shooting army, and still are, but everything got a points increase. And whereas some of the other armies, which we haven't really touched on yet, can summon a bunch of points into their army for free, Carriage Overlords can't. They don't have wizards, so they have to ally them in, which possibly detracts from how they work. Everything got a little bit more expensive. Sylvaneth Wildwood's block line of sight, so that means that their shooting capacity is down massively. There are bonuses for some armies against flying units now, and most of their units can fly. I think the Arcanauts are still good, but then they suffer from mobility, just like the Dispossessed do, and they're not as survivable as the Dispossessed. Well, they both got 5-up saves.
Yeah, not as cheap as
there's not as cheap as the Dispossessed either. So they got a kick in. They went from an Age of Sigmar 1 top tier build, being in S tier, so top tier, all the way down to tier 2. The bottom, second from bottom tier, which is pretty interesting. You could say they've crashed and burned.
They ran out of gas.
Nice. They flew too close to the sun.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Go on.
I think it's I don't know, from a game mechanical perspective, it's a weirdly designed army where everything is designed to do the same thing.
Hey, I like the 40k army in Age of Sigmar. It's cute.
Yeah, it is.
They're getting more tempting.
More and more tempting. What, because they're underpowered now, so you don't mind playing them, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, if you can do more than 2, then you win a prize. Order Draconis, gentlemen.
Yeah, apparently 5, right?
Apparently 4 to 5, yeah. Apparently.
I don't think 4 to 5. I think 5. I think they pose unique problems, Order Draconis, in my opinion. But so why do you guys not think it will be 5? Why do you think it's 4 to 5 as opposed to 5? And Fluxy thinks it's 4, and Positive Victim thinks it's 3 to 4. And I would love to know what Positive Victim thinks the counters are.
I think Kane is probably rough for them. Depends on the scenario which you come up against. I mean, always predict scenario situation, right? Mm-hmm. Which also means it's very hard to put someone at 5 because they can have a bad matchup. But
so give me the bad matchup.
Daughters of Cain, I think, is a bad matchup.
So they fly, yeah.
Yeah.
They kill the characters with Dragonfire,
yeah.
And then 2 of them eat one of the hordes. Yeah.
And then the other horde, kills all of the dragons.
Do they kill all of the dragons? Because it can only be in one place at once, right?
Yeah. And you made it very simple with the dragons, man. They have a 5 of 5 up, man.
I think the dragon fire is the secret power to it that you don't see.
It's a great tool. Don't get me wrong, but you need a lot of firepower to consistently take out a cold one. If they only have one. But I think Kane is not an auto win as you said at all.
I honestly, so to marry what the people in the chat are saying, and to be fair, like this is everyone's decision, not just mine. Fluxy says 4, Positive Victim says 3 to 4. Fluxy says Paul Whitehead ran it up here. Got a load of love for Paul Whitehead, and I think it's fantastic. It hurts when it hits you. Hookapin says 4. No one sees them. Once practiced against, they'll lose more. LOV says Daughters of Maggot Kim seem rough.
Yeah, they're not really a 1-drop army, are they?
So you can take the Dragon Host.
And what does that make the 1-drop?
I think no, because normally you would put an ally in.
Yeah.
So maybe it makes it a 1 to 2. They're difficult to Alpha Strike, I would argue. But Eels can take them out on the Alpha Strike. But apart from they have the Doppelganger Cloak, and they've also got the Quicksilver Potion. So, like, in the builds that I've seen.
Yeah.
So they're able to strike.
You could probably zap one with Eels. Just kill it. That's not an attack, man. You can just zap it and dead.
Marathi can stop the dragons too. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I think that they pose a real big problem. I think
they're a very strong army.
Because they because they do 2 things at once. They do a shooting attack, which is mortal wounds, so it's almost guaranteed, but it's more likely to do because it's punching through armor and it's doing a bunch of stuff to kill those key characters, which is important. And on some missions, they can just go over and pretty much gank all the characters that they need to kill, so that they can just win the objective. And they can fly, so they can jump over screens. They can move incredibly fast, and they can guarantee going first in combat, which I think is where I see their strengths as being for me. And they can also have some fairly decent anti-magic in allies, which is useful.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just me being more impressed with them because of the Bobo result than I should be. But my personal feelings is that they're really strong, and they cause a lot of tactical issues on the tabletop. What do you think, Nath?
Yeah, I do think they're strong, but I just think it's just the variety. It's 3 big monsters and then a load of dudes on horses running around. So it's just, I don't know. I just feel like they can be stopped.
All right.
But,
John, would you also agree?
I would say Maggot King are probably not a bad shot against them either.
Because the minus is to hit.
The minus is to hit. The saves against mortal wounds.
The higher body count.
Yeah.
They do have a lower body count. Okay, you've argued me down. So I feel 4 to 5. John?
I agree.
Nathan? I think some people will just be utterly unprepared for them.
Yeah, I mean, there's some armies that they'll go through, and it's just not a matchup, really. They'll just go straight through them.
So, Order Serpentis is next. Chat, Nathan, and John?
1, if you're lucky.
1, if you're lucky. What do they have in there?
It's like a shittier version of the Dark Shards.
Yeah, they've got a black dragon, as opposed to the Dragon Lord. So, He's alright, I guess, but he's just not as good as the...
Oh, wait, Haywo's watching. This is cool. I can see some of the YouTube comments. Hoyon says, Maggot Killer Aces, and Haywo says, 1. Also, pretty excited that Haywo's watching because he's fucking cool. Got a bit of a man crush on him.
Oh, okay.
Never mind. Carry on.
Yeah. Well, and it's just all the backup stuff as well. I don't think their dragons are just not as good as
The dragons fucking suck.
as the Order Draconis dragon.
Yeah.
Really.
And they got a shitty battle line. So what we're saying in the chat, we've got 0, -5, 0. John,
I agree with chat.
you agree with the chat? What are you saying? 2 then?
Yeah.
No, 1.
1.
1, but 1 is 0. So everything can win one game.
Haywo also, who by the way has a YouTube channel if you ever want to go check it out, said he was sad that he missed the Darkling Covens because he wanted to confidently say 4, which would have been wrong because they got voted as 2 to 3. Phoenix Temple, gentlemen.
4.
Members of the Twitch chat, community at large, people on Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, I think they're probably 3 to 4, something like that.
I think 4.
Phoenixes are really good, obviously, and then actually the Phoenix Guard, Temple Guard, or the Phoenix Guard are really solid, really good.
Really good. I just don't think anyone's taken them yet as their own allegiance. They usually take them in mixed order.
Yeah.
But
I mean, obviously Chris Tomlin did really well with them at Eggs or wherever he played. Yeah.
Chris Tomlin skewed the results table when we go and look at that later on.
but he's a really good player, so yeah, fair enough. But yeah, they're good solid units, aren't they?
Yes.
All of them.
Yeah,
Really
they're
tough.
incredibly tanky.
Yeah.
They do good damage output. They've got fast mobility. They've got super undercosted phoenixes, apart from the Fire Phoenix. They look great. The only caveat I have is that put in what are they called now? The Temple Phoenix Guard. They're still called Phoenix Guard.
Phoenix Guard, yeah.
They're still called that. Phoenix Guard are one of the worst things to put together I've ever had to do. I put 10 together and I stopped putting them together.
Why? Where's the issue?
Huh?
Where's the issue with them?
They're just awful minis to put together, I found.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why? What's the hard part?
The cape and the arms, it just doesn't go well together. I just hate it.
Okay.
I just hated building them. I genuinely gave up. I built most of I built maybe 80% of the Age of Sigmar range probably at some point. And I was just like, no, thank you. This fucking sucks.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that about. Cool.
Haywo, thanks for subscribing. That's nice of you. He's also watching on Twitch now, which is cool. Durable, unseen, reliable damage output says Positive Victim. He thinks 4. Huckabins thinks 3. And Morgan Storm Smasher, hey buddy, says 3 to 4. So there we go. I think 4 seems to be the consistent number that a lot of people are picking.
Oh, okay.
Do they bring anything unique to the game that other armies don't?
Well, they go 4 up after damage save, haven't they? On the
whole range.
Blocks. On everything.
On everything.
So, yeah, which is sweet.
Yeah. They get a massive horde discount on the Phoenix Temple. They can be battle line. You can ally in a wizard if you want to start having wizards up knocking around. I think that they're a super good choice. Okay. So Phoenix Temple 4. Do you think they can ever win 5? Do you think?
I think if they were facing Order Draconis, they might win.
That's true. They might. Right, Scorched Privateers. John, what do you think?
1.
Oh, only 1. Why?
It's like a shit faction. Few units, all the units are bad. Bring nothing unique. Brings shit.
Okay.
Yeah, strugglers, aren't they?
They are strugglers. That's all right. Could they win even 1?
Yeah, everybody can win 1.
Yeah, when they play against Chaos Dwarves, everybody gets to win.
Yeah.
All right, Seraphon then. I think 1 is fine. Everyone in the chat is saying 0, by the way. And Grubby says, I think my Phoenix Temple will at least annoy the piss out of a front-end army, which I think is all you've ever really wanted from an army, right?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. Are you okay, Dave?
Yeah, I was looking at the Scourge Privateers. It's a sad state of affairs. Isn't it?
What's in the army? What's in there?
Well, so you got a choice of Black Ark Corsairs.
Cool models.
Being led by a Black Ark Fleet Master.
Also a cool model.
And then the Charybdis is your monster.
Great model.
And then you're backed up by your support being your Scourge Runner Chariots.
Also great models. All of the rules for all of those models, though, suck balls.
And you can shove them all into a battalion called the Realm Reavers.
Which is a bad battalion, which is too expensive.
So there you go.
Okay. So, yeah. It's an incredibly pretty army if you ever want to put one together. Right, next up, gentlemen, Seraphon. So we've already had some people here. T4 was here on YouTube, says 5 for lizards. Grubby says, Positive Victim says 3 to 4 with engine spam. Grubby says, Model Store Smasher says at least 3. And Halo says 4 if we're optimistic. Jonathan, Nathan, thoughts?
I'm saying at least 4, possibly 4 to 5, something like that. 4 to 5, I reckon.
John?
Yeah, me too. Yeah, 4 to 5. There's just been no good players playing them.
Yeah.
So they just need a better general, in my opinion.
I think they have access to summoning, which is really good. And yeah, exactly. The summoning thing is super strong. They've got some of the best chaff units in the game, and I think it's all about chaff.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously the teleporting that they can just do every turn. That's super strong.
So what do they bring to the game that other armies don't, which puts them in the 4 to 5 category? Or what answers do they have to some of the things that we've talked about that put them in the 4 to 5 category?
Well, summoning is
summoning, so they can get free units, which lots of the armies we've already talked about actually can't do.
Yeah.
So
in order, they're the only people in order that can summon? Pretty much, I reckon.
I don't know, I'm sure at some point.
Yeah, there might be some other...
Sure. Oh, no, Sylvaneth.
Sylvaneth, yeah.
And I'm sure at some point Stormcast will be able to, but right now they can't.
Yeah, so, but they're one of the few units, a few things so that can summon, so it makes them good. And they've just got like the only thing that they lack really is like a big smashy hammer thing.
Yeah, they do. They lose a hammer and they're like death by 1,000 cuts. And the problem with, so I took Seraphon to the Heat earlier. I took him to 2 events at the beginning of the year, didn't I? Did I? Yeah, I think 2 events. I think they've just got better from free summoning. Personally, they didn't change the points of the units, which I think is really strong, which would be Razordons and Salamanders. I think it would financially, it's incredibly expensive.
Yeah, I mean they're probably the best thing as a hammer is the Razordon Salamander combos.
Absolutely. Skinks, like you said, they're great chaff walls, so they can stop a bunch of those combat armies that we've talked about. Eels obviously can jump over the top of some of those things, but you can have great board control and presence. You can summon units, which is pretty great. You can anti-magic, so you can dispel spells from anywhere on the board as opposed to just 30 inches. I know 30 inches seems really strong compared to where we were with 18 inches, but anywhere is still better.
Yeah, Infinite is much better.
Infinite is much better, which I think is really good. They've got good casters. They've still got some really strong units, and lots of the stuff isn't, and they've got access to battalions. I think they're just not as easy to play in some of the more obvious builds that we saw previously, no matter how good people did with them, like with Croak, as an example. And they still got access to being able to using the engines of the gods. The only thing that obviously they fucked the Starseer for no particular reason, which pisses me off.
But it's just a wanker.
And I personally think that they're 4 to 5. And even in an unbalanced field where there was a really good general against what you would consider to be a typical tournament field of a variety of skill levels, I would say they potentially could do 5.
Oh yeah, depending on matchups, they win a tournament.
John, you got any thoughts? And then I'll read the chat, which I think disagree with me massively.
Yeah, I'll stick with my last thing. Maybe this is just speculation here, but I mean, they changed a lot of how they work, right? Instead of rerolls, you get command points. Seems to be the new theme for them. I don't know if anybody have explored like the possibilities you can have with them, but maybe there's something in there. But that's a bit off topic. But I just think that no good general has played them yet in AOS2.
In AOS2. Well, obviously,
that's
Darren took him 6 nations, but then
iOS.
Yeah. I'm still sticking with what I said earlier.
Yeah, still sticking with it. Combat Phase Podcast is 3 to 4. Positive Victims is 3. 3 to 4 with engine spam. So that would be the Engines of the Gods summoning a lot of free units over and over time. 4 to 5 for Lizards, says Archean. 5 easy with a new and improved Starseer. Fuck you, Archean. Hey, whoa, Beast Claw did better than I thought against Nighthaunt, lost top turn of 3, but it took until that to get tabled at least, which is nice. Lucian's Rocks, you can summon Dryads, obviously. Nikos says 5 if I'm playing them. Nikos is thinking about taking them to a tournament. Me and him were talking about them literally only on Friday. And that's where I think that the Razordons and Salamanders are the big shout. It's 160 points? They're 40 points for one, so 80. 160 points for 4 Razordons. You can take fucking hell. You can take 16, can't you? Because that's all of your artillery choices. So you can do a phenomenal amount of shots. Skinks to hold up chaff lines or walls. You could maybe make a shooting bunker where you also have Bastillodons in, and then reroll all to hits because of the banner. You can summon units to go and grab objectives. You can teleport units to go grab objectives. You can kind of have a moving castle wall, and I like playing those, Nath. That's the way my brain works. They don't have a lot of AP, so like rend. They don't have a lot of rend, so there's an issue there. But that's why I think I'd put a unit 4 Salamanders in, because that helps give you punch. It's just range and positioning that you need to learn to play through, and double turns and teleports really help there. So a bit dicey in some situations, I definitely agree. And your characters are susceptible to being sniped out as well, because there's no real big monster characters apart from Carnosaur, which isn't particularly good, in my opinion. But I still think that they've got loads of options that's really, really solid. That's me as a Seraphon player, but there are other Seraphon players in here, like Darren, who I really respect, who don't rate them as highly as me. And me and him have had a conversation when we haven't done this show where he's like, nope, that's not where they're at. They're not at that competitive tier, whereas I feel that they are. But it would be a high barrier cost-wise to get into the competitiveness of them, and it really is relying on things like, in my opinion, Razordons and Salamanders, which are very expensive per model, and you would be taking like 12, maybe 16 of them. So
Did you scream at each other?
No, we just had a conversation on WhatsApp.
Oh.
So you were screaming at each other.
Screening, yeah. Oh wait, I get it. You said no good general has played them in AOS 1. Like, were you talking about me?
Yeah, man.
Oh, I've only just got that. Fuck you, man.
Takes brains
also,
to be a good general.
Also, no smart general has played it. No.
Yeah, no quick thinking.
Oh, okay.
To be a good general, you got to think quickly.
Think quickly. Yeah. Eventually, I'll do that. That's won't be an issue. Anyway.
Write it in
Hi,
your book.
Backy back.
Write it in your book.
Huh?
Write it in your book.
I will write in my fucking book. I'll show you my book later, dick. 4 to 5, I'm saying. Yeah? That's my opinion. And there's a caveat there that's Rob's outside pick and that other people don't agree. Yeah? Nathan, Jonathan, you're also allowed 1 each. The general consensus is it's more like 4. Okay? But in my opinion, that's not true. Shadowblades. 1. Moving on. Yeah.
No, seriously, you can't play them, can you? Can you? You can play them. Yeah, they have battle line. Yeah. Never mind. Never mind.
1?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, Swift Hawk Agents. Here we go.
Darren.
Gamble. I think they're an interesting army, but on a 2 to 3.
2 to 3. I think there's someone in the chat trying to make us lowball them intentionally for tournaments. That's shocking. Hayu Con Wargaming on YouTube says 2.
Yeah. I think they're cool. I wouldn't mind playing them because I do think they've got some cool units.
Yeah.
I think they'd be a nice challenge. Definitely.
But so far there's been no tournaments where they've done well, so 2 to 3. Yeah, so below average. John, any fight back?
They haven't got anything that stands out. They haven't got allegiance abilities that make them anything special. So, yeah. I mean, they've got interesting things. Like the High Warden is cool. The Shadow Warriors are interesting. The Reavers they're all interesting and cool, but they're not
I don't rate the Reavers, man.
They're not like standout choices.
All right, okay. I think that's fine. Yeah. I think we all agree. So Swiftwater Avons. Next up, Sylvaneth. Tree People.
They're pretty sweet at the moment, aren't they?
4 to 5. 4 to 5.
45.
Do I feel like that?
45.
45. Do I think that? 45. I do think that. 45. 4. I think 4. Nathan?
Yeah. 4 to 5.
Right.
4 to 5. Yeah, I'm going to go 4 to 5 as well. They've got access to summoning, which is super strong.
Yep.
Wildwoods are really useful if they can get them out. And they've got some really good monsters. The Kona Hunters are alright still.
Okay. So, FYI, Lutheran says Dreadwood OP, Haywo says Force Fair, Hook and Pin says 4, Morgan Sorcerer says 4 to 5, T4 was here, says 4. So
you've got Magic as well. Then.
Combat Feast Podcast 4, Force Fair says Haywo. What do they do to Age of Sigmar? Like, what do they change about Age of Sigmar that you have to think about? Shooting. Do you want to explain that to people?
Well, the Wildwoods blocks line of sight. It's shooting and magic, really. Or offensive magic.
So unless you've got the fly keywords, you can't see over Sylvaneth Wildwood, and they can put one down for free at the start of the game, as well as summoning more.
Yeah.
So they effectively reduce the usefulness of all shooting. So if you're thinking about going to a tournament, and you think, I'll just take a shooting army, and just shoot, when you go up against that Sylvaneth Wildwood, now they can just sit behind those Wildwoods and ignore your shooting until they're in a comfortable position to either kill you or just hold objectives, right?
Yeah.
So they massively have changed the scope of Age of Sigmar in just their existence and the fact that people play with them. Yeah? John, would you agree with that?
I agree.
Okay.
They can also alpha strike pretty decently.
Yeah. Huh? They've got some fairly killy... I mean, Alariel is a killy lass on them.
She is, and she's much cheaper now because she can just summon units. They also have access to one-drop battalions, which is really useful. They've also got access to summoning, which is really, really strong. So there's a bunch of positives there, which I think Alariel might be a trap, in my opinion. It's still quite a lot of points, which is then...
Yeah, she's a lot of points, but she's easily worth it. If you play her right, she can easily...
I also think maybe the battalions are a trap. Because you...
I don't know.
I think the argument for battalions is that you can get your Wildwoods out in place.
Yeah, you get your Wildwoods out.
Well, you already get your first Wildwoods out anyway.
You get extra command points.
Yeah, you get one, but it's good to have more, right?
I think I agree. I'm just talking about if you're looking at their performance. So the Dreadwood Wargrave is incredibly strong, as is Winterleaf, as is Gnarlroot, in my opinion.
And Harvest Boon.
And Harvest Boon, yes. Big shout out to Laurie Hugh Wignett.
What you got?
Say his name.
No.
Laurie, if I've said your name wrong, I'm so sorry. He's a real nice man as well.
Yeah.
Who's been taking Harvest Boon. I just think that the 300 to 400 points that you're spending for the command points and the artifact, as well as the ability to do some things, potentially could just be another unit of Dryads, which just stops you getting alpha striked, and then you can just push forward. Maybe the Wildwood, as an example, they are a low movement army apart from the Dryads. Yeah, and because you're thinking about the Colonel Thunters, getting the Colonel Thunters into place. But if you thought about them, just take the Sylvaneth Wildwood out. Just take it out. Are they a bad army? Like, are they unable to move and go and take objectives, which are traditionally now not that far away? Most of them are in the centre line, so they can be 12 or 9 inches away from your deployment zone. Is that really that far?
No, not really. I mean,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think Yeah, I think they're alright. I think they're all good. They're all got useful units, haven't they? So, and the access to summoning is really useful.
I'm not saying that those battalions aren't good. I'm just saying when I think about Sylvaneth now, just because we've come off the back of Seraphon, and I'm like, I like the battalions for Seraphon too. I think they're great, but I probably would avoid them.
Yeah, maybe in the Seraphon, but I think with the Sylvaneth one, the battalions are too...
They do more for Sylvaneth than the battalions do for...
I massively agree.
Yeah.
I massively agree. I'm not saying they're not really, really strong and really good and potentially game winning. I still think Dreadwood wins 4 to 5 games all the time. Yeah. I'm just saying it's an interesting, kind of... I wouldn't mind not taking one of the battalions, is what I think. Hashtag, what an idiot, I imagine you're all saying right now, but that's just...
Go write that in your book.
Yeah, I can write that in my book. Sylvaneth 4 to 5 anyway. Probably more like 5, I think.
I think they can win tournaments.
I think they can win tournaments, yeah. Wanderers 2. Disagree with me. Fight me.
I think they got hit on the nose too much when the FAQ came out on how they were allowed to teleport. So I agree with you.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
Huh?
2 or 3, something like that, yeah, probably. I mean, they've got decent units, but nothing...
I don't think they can win more than 2, personally, in my opinion. Hammerhall. So this is talking about the Firestorm Allegiance City. Hammerhall.
I don't know what the Hammerhall one does.
So it's like mixed order.
Mm.
So I think 3. And I think a lot of places don't allow these, so I don't want to spend super long on them. John?
Hammerhall, sure.
I don't know it, to be honest.
No, I can't.
Tempest Eye are good, and...
But I wouldn't give Tempest Eye more than... I wouldn't give them more than 3.
3 to 4, maybe.
Yeah, I'd give Tempest Eye the same as... Yeah, 3 peoples, that sort of thing.
3 to 4.
Tempest Eye, but not Hammerhall, maybe.
Hallowheart is also a 3. And then Greywater Fastness is not bad, actually, and can use the mixed order, and is a 3 to 4 also.
Yeah.
So those are City Allegiance abilities from
I
from
quite like the
Firestorm.
Hallowheart one, but I'll go with that. I think a Hallowheart order with, if you have a Grudgebound Warthrong coming out of the Hallowheart City.
Really strong. Alex Tyrell says on Facebook, enjoying the show, guys. Personally, I think Chaos Dwarfs do okay. Decent shooting line and line are rare enough that a lot of people don't know their strengths. I couldn't agree with him more. And then Abigail Sarah Houghton. Abigail Sarah Houghton says, "I'm watching you," and also you look tired. It's rude, isn't it? Dare she? Who's that? Right. Unless Hallowheart with Draconis, all the Draconis armies are Hallowheart. So that's a really good point. So Hallowheart get bumped up to 3 to 4. In fact, 4.
Okay.
Right. Okay. We've finished with order. Everyone can take a little break, stretch. Yeah. Okay. Get motivated for the next section. I know it's a big job today. I can recognise that. You feeling good, Nath? You feeling tired?
Right.
Feeling good? Jonathan, how you feeling?
I just realized something.
What?
That the Kaladin Overlords are the opposite to OK.
The KO are not okay. Okay. Right, so we've done order. That's positive. That's good. So now, who's the next bits today? I don't know who's even in the chat. Just Nikos, I'm watching you. John, you look great. Okay. So we're going to fly. We're going to... so just so you know, we've given an hour to order. That's how long our order have taken. They are a big faction. So just... What I hate is... I don't want to skip the same kind of detail that we're given to order just because we've done other stuff in others, which is why I would prefer to have done them last, but what can I do? No, T4 was here. So we're moving on to the next section now, but before we do that, has anyone got a joke?
I just gave you one then.
What, KO?
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's good.
Okay, do you have a joke?
No,
I have a joke.
I've got a jug.
My love life?
I heard quite the opposite now.
But I thought that was a funny joke. There's also a dog on the screen. Get everyone motivated. Everyone get yourself a cup of tea. If you haven't been listening and you're painting on the podcast, don't forget everyone on Patreon and Twitch who helps keep the show going. And there to thank you to those guys. And make sure you stay hydrated. Drink a lot of water. Yeah. All right. Good. All right. Next bit. Can we have a Jonathan joke reading those bathroom stalls, eh? Grub Duggar says only Grand Alliance can take City Allegiance. Did you rate Stormcast? Did we even do Stormcast?
No.
What the hell? Did I write them down out of some... I didn't write Stormcast down out of some sort of like weird triggered reaction that I just didn't write there. I hope I haven't missed any others out. Stormcast.
I have another joke about the KO actually.
They're short.
Yeah, they came out a little short with the new endorsement.
Daka Flame says 250 bits for the Bulgarians Widows and Orphans Fund. I think you killed those of my Bulgarians. Stormcast then. What do we think? 4 to 5 or 5?
4 to 5.
Yeah.
5 maybe.
Do they bring anything to the game which other armies don't bring? They deep strike really well.
Yeah, they ambush like anything can ambush.
They mean that you need to have board control, really good board control. They've got good armor, but they can be a fairly low model count army. They've also got some broke units at the minute.
Yeah, they've got some units that can chuck out the damage. They've got some really tanky units, don't they? But they're an elite army.
They are an elite army. And I think you can outboard control them. So what I mean by that is you can just put a lot of bodies on the board, take up a lot of space, generally just be fantastic, right? Yeah?
Can they just be fantastic?
Yeah. Okay. And also they can recycle like 300, 400 point units on a 5-up for a command point, which is... So there are other shows that may say, isn't that great? Like, it's so exciting that you can do that. And I think what it is fucking stupid. Yeah? And it's just silly. And it's just like someone going, I beat that unit up finally. I've used skill. I've moved movement. Yeah? I've got the right matchups. I put that unit there so you could bait it. And then I've killed it with my unit that can kill it. And then you go, I've rolled a 5-up. Fuck you, dickhead. Yeah? And I'm like, that's shit. Like, that requires no skill. John?
Have they FAQ'd it now so it can't happen more than once? I think they have.
Oh no.
So you can use several command points to restore, to like duplicate the units.
You can even use the same command point to try it again and again and again. Or different command points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I think...
If you go with death, you can just use a command point and bring the whole thing back. Yeah, you don't have to roll a 5.
No, don't worry. When I get to death, I'm going to piss and moan about that too. No problem.
It's the summoning thing.
Why didn't you piss about the Seraphon summoning, man?
What? Because I like Seraphon, so fuck off.
You racist, man.
A scaly racist.
Yeah, if it's not Jurassic Park, get out. Right, let's do destruction because I know you both. So we're going to do destruction, then we're going to do death, and then we're going to finish on chaos, right?
Okay.
Right. So destruction, mixed destruction. Yes or no?
Yes.
I think 4 to 5 games, especially if you're playing in the realms. My opinion. Disagree with me.
3 to 4.
Huh?
3 to 4. I have a hard time seeing you standing there on that game 5 with 4 wins, and you're up against that 5 out of 5 army, and you reliably win that. I think you reliably lose that. That's why it's a 4.
I think disagree. I think you can build some really strong, especially in the realms, because you've got access to some great wizards. You can stop combat armies with fanatics. You've got good monsters. Yeah, you've got access to good objective grabbers. You've got access to the Trogloth Hag, and as we know, she's a princess in all of our hearts. She's probably a little bit overpointed realistically if I took her competitively, but I think you can potentially go to 4 to 5. In my opinion, I'm moving around to get the blood flowing, so I can still be super pumped for this show.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah,
you disagree with me, don't you?
I want to say 4 to 5, but I think 4. 4. Yeah,
4?
I'm going to go with 4.
That's right.
Okay.
And also, everybody know what they're doing, right?
Hi, Jimmy the Brush.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you're playing against other generals of the same ability,
But can you really take out 4 fungoid cave shamans? Like, in the realms. They're -2 to hit, just naturally, before they do anything. Like, that's a lot of anti-magic for 80 points.
Do you
it's
know
also
the
a
triangle
lot.
list you talked about? It's quite easy to do with that one.
Absolutely, but they have to get close enough, and you can have massive board control, with the bodies you can put in a mixed destruction force. Now, obviously, that's like heavily Moonclan I'm talking about, but
I don't think the fungoid cave shamans can win the game, though.
do you not think in the realms?
Have we got 4
Access
of
to
them?
8, like, so if you had 4 of them, and you've got 100, so that's 300, for 320 points in a single turn, I can cast 8 spells, re-rolling to cast, so they're more guaranteeable than they have been. Yeah, if it's the right realm.
But I don't think 8 spells can win a game.
You don't think?
No.
Do you not think it can control the game? It doesn't have to win the game. It has to win a turn, maybe a turn or 2. Yeah,
but then you still lose the game. You might win that turn, I think, but you've got to win 5 turns.
Sorry that I'm doing weird things on the screen. I'm just keeping my blood pumping up. All right. Okay. Why is Rob dancing like a robot? That's not a dance, my friends.
Also, it feels like you're talking about a build that doesn't exist yet, right?
That's true.
But
I can't build every army.
if you have 8 spells, I mean that's a lot of points. Points the destruction really needs.
It's not a lot of points. It's 320 points.
That's a lot of points, man.
It's not for 8 spells re-rolling to cast. Negash is 600 points. Yeah.
No, but the 8 spells. What spells are they?
Well, I was saying if you're playing in the realms.
Yeah.
Like, and also, and let's not, like, I did the Patreon video where we talked about shackles and we talked about the palisade and the ability to control movement. We've already got access to the ability to control movement inside destruction, just like a bunch of other, but you've just got a toolbox. I think the skill level that you're required to use is high, but you have a higher toolbox that you brought with you than other armies. Like the eels, as an example, don't really have as much of a toolbox. They do in the electrocution, so that they can do that thing where if you charge them, they can really damage you before. That's a good tool, really, because it means that you can't really charge them to deal with them, and shooting them is pretty tough because the allegiance ability, and they've got a bunch of tools that they have, but you can have more from access to those spells, and generating that amount of spells, especially reliably casting them for so cheap, gives you a big toolbox that you can employ, which most armies don't have the access to. That's my thoughts. That said, you're probably still right with 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do the fungoid cave shaming get plus to cost?
No,
but you can reroll cast for a turn.
Yeah.
Once per game, or?
Once per game.
Well.
Okay. The destruction player simply headbutts their return at turn 5. I mean, there is something to be said for the fact that destruction players are a little bit more bloodthirsty than maybe the order players or a bunch of other people. I wonder if if you destruction as a mixed army.
Players.
What?
They're the most honest players. The destruction players. You know what they want to do? They want to run up and smash you all the time, every time.
Okay, all right. Does mixed destruction bring anything that other armies don't bring? Not really. But it does improve some of the other armies because they can dip in and out, right?
Yeah, I mean, the allegiance abilities aren't great.
Okay.
To be honest.
I think the only thing that they bring that is really unique to them is fanatics. I think, but if you look past Moonclan Allegiance, but fanatics is quite unique and can be really, really good.
Okay. Yeah. So Combat Phase Podcast says destruction player simply headbutts their opponent. Turn 5 equals event 1. Lofthammer, evening guys, just smashed up Pars 3 people. Oh. Also hi Lofthammer. Haywo says 3 to 4. Fungoid Cave are good, but their spells are trash. And rely on realm stuff for more points to end this. I think the Fungoid Cave Shaman's personal spell is really strong. Can be. All right, that's a fair point. AOS Coach says, good day, everyone. Over from Australia. Lofthammer says, good. And it gives you more trolls. Says, Psycho Weenie 86. And who doesn't love a good fucking trog off? Someone called Psycho Weenie is more than likely to...
It's just a great handle.
All right, so Bone Splitters. Someone take it away. Nath.
3 to 4.
Yeah, I mean, they've still done alright in some tournaments, haven't they? Yeah, we've seen, I think, yeah, 3 to 4. There's some good units in the Bone Splitters. The Arrow Boys are still good. It's all about the big stabbers as well. And their wizards are mental, so...
It
is a time of magic, and they are mental. So
technically, it's 2018. We have to say that their wizards have mental health issues.
Not those wizards. Those wizards are mental.
Jonathan, you get to say your line.
What?
You get to say your line.
I'm lying.
No, you get to say your line about wizards.
Are you a wizard?
You're a wizard.
You a wizard? Yeah, I'm a subscriber.
Okay. Do we have a new subscriber? Did you say? Oh no.
You said.
All right. Yeah, that's.
Never mind.
Okay. Shit.
We are smooth like chocolate.
Yeah. This is quality. This is quality. The only way you get worse quality is if a multinational corporation put out the podcast. Right. Beastcore Raiders.
2 to 3.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't think 3?
Unless you're running 4
What
Thunder
about-
Tusks.
What about Flying Stonehorns?
What about Flying Stonehorns?
Ah, fucking scary, aren't they? If I saw one, I'd be like, I'm off.
Yeah, but again, I don't know.
I think Stonehorns with immune to rend is more scary than a flying Stonehorn.
You what?
A Stonehorn that's immune to rend is more scary than a flying Stonehorn. But still,
What if you get both?
Well, you can get shackled up. That's the only problem with them. I think if you can ally in some wizards, that'd be a good start. You need to, really. Yeah, I did see a cool list with loads of Yetis in it. Like, loads of Yetis.
Was it your list?
No. It wasn't my list, but I wouldn't mind seeing
Trying it out.
Yeah, because they can run and charge, I think, with their...
That list sounds abominable.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, no, but I think they've surprised a few people in a couple of tournaments, doing a little bit better than they were at the end of AOS when they were shocking, weren't they?
Yeah.
So,
they got beat up.
Yeah.
Okay, Beastcore Raiders 3. Some people won't be able to handle Stonehorns and Thundertusks. People just won't be good at it.
Yeah. The Thundertusk thing is still good, isn't it?
I think so.
those people are the want the 0 to 2 wins. So if you put them at 3 wins, because the other 2 will be able to handle them. I think 2 to 3 is pretty accurate.
against decent armies on a level playing field. Yeah, you're
think
probably
2 to
looking
3?
at 2 to 3.
Right.
They are. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll see. We might be proved wrong.
Jimmy the Brush says they said on an old article that Firebelly would be able to heal Beastcore troops in new AOS 2, but don't know if that ever became a thing. Don't think it did. Or apart from being able to cast Emerald Lifeswarm, the endless spell from Malign Portents. No, Grand Sorcery. What's it fucking called? Spells. The box of spell models they made you buy. Hook and Pin says 3 to 4. Combat Face Podcast says 3 to 4. Haywo Twitch says Beastcore Raiders 2 at best. And then double turn. A double turn from them can hurt though.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. Right. So 2 to 3. Get mob grots. Little sneaky fucking grots. Those are little. I'm gonna stab you, you shit. I'll stab you in the butt.
They're pretty killy grots.
They are pretty killy grots.
Again, but they've only got one character in their faction.
They do.
They haven't got any.
He's easy to kill.
He is fairly easy to kill.
Okay.
He has got a 5-up bounce thing, which is interesting. But I mean, he's still 4 wounds, so he's going to die.
He's 4 wounds. Shit me.
So you'd have to ally in probably 400 points worth.
Would your tactic
heroes.
with a Gitmob Grot character? Would you paint him exactly the same as all the troops? Yeah,
and just hide him.
And just hide him. It'd be like have 5 of them. And just be like, yeah, I've got 5 characters. It'd be like, cool, yeah, no problem. And then they'd go, which one's your general? It'd be like, oh, I'm not really sure. This one. There's 3 left. Yeah, find them.
You've got no line of sight to him. He's lying down behind 1 million grots. The thing with Gitmob is their battle line. Well, unless you want to take the advantage of the wolf cavalry as battle line. The regular grots are battle line, so if you're going to take them, you'd probably end up taking mixed destruction anyway. But yeah,
2 to 3.
Yeah.
I'm not getting fucking sleepy, and we're doing the same amount of quality for all of them. Like, because that's why I hate when people rush the ending. It's not happening. Right, next up, greenskins. Shit, they're shit, aren't they? They're so shit. One.
1 to 2.
Don't argue. Why are they shit? Great question. They don't bring anything unique to the game. They've got really poor characters. They generally suck. They suck.
They got decent characters.
The guy with the banner is good.
The guy with the banner's good. The guy on the wyvern's alright for his points.
Okay.
I'd say 1 to 2. Yeah. The regular, just the normal orc boys are cheap as ships now. They've been reduced in cost. So
right. Next up. The everyone who works at McDonald's and KFC, yeah? Big shout out to you guys. Anyone who works in a restaurant or is a chef, the Gutbusters.
Wondered where you were going with that.
Yeah, me too. I was going to say food related things. This is them swinging their big fucking mauls and iron guts, just like bang.
They reached 20 iron guts.
No, they've amended them now. They're only reached 14.
Oh, shame.
Gutbusters, what do you think?
Solid.
Yeah. If I saw someone trying to beat me with Gutbusters, I'd bust a gut.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Come for the knowledge, leave for the jokes.
But they're pretty good. I think they're pretty good.
Yeah?
2 to 3.
Big blocks, 2 to 3.
Yeah.
I say 3 to 4, man.
I say 2 to 3 as well. Should we settle on 3? No, their kicks faced it. Their face is kicked in. They can't move anywhere.
They can. Get destruction move like everybody else, man. And you can charge stuff with iron guts. You can buff it with butchers. You can smash face with tyrants.
Force to hit.
Not if you have butchers. Then you can buff them, and then you can take items on them, and you can actually use realm spells.
You don't have a battalion or an allegiance ability.
You don't need one because you got the big fat guy on the throne.
3. Settle on 3.
Settle on 3.
Yeah?
Yeah.
3.
And the tyrant is good. I think he's really good.
Yeah, but he's not in the Gutbusters. He's in Compendium.
He's in the Compendium.
The
Over Tyrant.
The Over Tyrant
is in Compendium. The Tyrant is in Gutbusters, yeah.
Okay,
I was talking about the tyrant.
The Tyrant's decent.
And if anyone's new and has never listened to, knows anything about Age of Sigmar, and you're like, oh, I'm thinking about buying an army, what should I buy? The Over Tyrant is, don't buy him.
I'll buy him and I'll play him on the wrong base as a tyrant.
It's in this place called the Compendium, which is a dark place. Which Games Workshop hates.
And we too. We hate it as well.
I don't hate it. I like the Compendium.
Everybody hates it. It should be a thing. It's dead. It's gone. It was never a thing.
Iron Jaws.
Most of it is fine cost, so fuck it.
You're such a history recidivist. Right, what do you think of Iron Jaws?
Good.
Yeah, good. You think they're good? All right, we'll move on. Nathan, what do you think of Iron Jaws? You're the Iron Jaws player. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they're probably in quite a good place. 3 to 4.
3 to 4, baby.
Yeah.
3 to 4. Really? Do you not think they get their faces kicked in all the time by other better combat armies? Eels, Daughters of Cain. They can't stop magic. They've got one weird boy all the time. They get pluses to hit, which is fine.
He's not a weird boy, he's a weird knob.
Weird knob, whatever. Fucking. Do you know what I mean? Come on. I think you're giving them an extra win.
They've got good battalions.
Agreed. And Gorgrunters can do a great job.
They can move quick.
Agreed, but I can just chaff them up.
You can multi-wire them.
That's really strong. I agree.
Their command ability is really good. They've got one that command ability is solid.
I think if someone can block up the unit so you don't get to activate the thing where you wipe a unit and activate the next one, I think you can they can just really... The way when I used them, it was because people would put multi-units out for me to attack and hit, and they wouldn't know how to screen well enough. Again, so I can multi-war a bunch of different units and then send them all in, and then they're all buffed up at once.
All the units.
And I would just kill everything in one go before they even got to strike back, because the leader's ability. But I think someone who can stop that can just mitigate that massively, and then you're just having a punch-in fight at their regular... You don't get any extra bonuses, really.
Yeah. But, again, you can play around being stopped. That's the thing. You've got the units that can... So if people just put up chaff, you can put your chaff into their chaff. Your chaff will kill their chaff. Yeah? Because your chaff is actually quite decent. Like 10 hard boys or something.
Would it be a chaffalanche?
And then, And then now your chaff is where their chaff was. Now, so basically your chaff is in front of your army, protecting your army.
I mean, don't forget, you need to be in the game for most of the missions. You need to be in the game for 3 turns, right?
Yeah.
So let's do YP in 3 turns.
They're quite tanky.
All right. Okay.
I'm gonna say
the chat's saying, just FYI, the chat is saying...
What were you saying? How many games did you...
Lutheran's Orc says, why does elite, war-loving, fight-hunting orcs have bravery of 6? It's a great point.
So they can live to fight another day.
Combat Phase Podcast says 3, Hookapin says 4. Can't explain that Tide goes out, Tide comes in, brutes have bravery 6. Laba 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 Baba Baba says Iron Jaws is the best. War 4, I think. I did well with them, says Hookapin. AOS Coach says 3 to 4. Hayward, Iron Jaws are the Beast Squad, only better in every way, but still not that great. I'd say, Morgan Source says, I'd say 4 is a struggle, 3 is more likely. And Laba Baba Baba says, I've gone 5-0 in AOS 2 with the Jaws. I think 3 to 4.
3 to 4.
Yeah, okay. Alright, you've convinced me. You've convinced me. Moonclan Grots. 1 million games. 1 billion damage. What do we think now that they got hurt by the knee-jerk reaction from Games Workshop?
I'm gonna go with Nathan's answer on this one.
Good.
I'm gonna go with it 100%.
I think Tolodino also said woo to 1 billion damage. 1 billion damage!
I think actually similar to the Iron Jaws 3 to 4. Really. I'd wish it was more. And one day it will be more.
One day, when the Squidgian, when we find out the Squidgian does mortal wounds every time he flies over a unit. Yeah? That's what I've heard. Is that,
just one?
Hashtag fake news. No, he does a mortal wound for every model in the unit.
2 mortal wounds.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it doubles. So you can do 1 billion mortal wounds!
I'll see them coming, the pigeons, and the rest of the guys like, Legolas, bring him down!
Yeah. It's like in a film where the missile has to be shot out the sky. Yeah, and it's like the clock's ticking, everyone's like, blow it up or we'll all die. The Squidgian is just like, ah!
Don't you dare finish that sentence.
Straight into the 2 towers. Right, Donaldinho says 4 to 5, and he is the resident Moonclan Grot expert.
He is.
As is you, Nathan.
He's probably more expert at the moment. He's definitely been playing a lot more.
Okay. So maybe he can give us a reason as to why he loves them.
Yeah, I think he might. Yeah. Obviously, he's a good player.
And that's the issue, isn't it? He's a good player with an army he knows really well.
Yeah. So in a level playing field scenario, there are better armies out there.
I agree.
Unfortunately. They've got great hordes. They've got fairly resilient hordes. They've got the fanatics, which are nice.
Mm-hmm.
Really, good for return. Okay. So they're good. They're good at playing the objective game, aren't they?
They are.
And obviously, you've got the killy things in the Colossal Squig is awesome, and the Mangler Squigs are great too. So yeah.
Okay. Right. So Spider-Fan Grots. What do we think of them? 1.
Yeah, 1.
Spider-Fan Grots is 1. Okay.
It's a shame because it's a really cool army.
Yeah, I think maybe I would say 1 to 2 or possibly 2 because they're actually quite good at the magic side of things with the Ragnaroks having 2 spells, and if you're using the realm spells, then that does make them a bit better.
There's a guy over. It wasn't a guy up in Scotland. Didn't a guy in Scotland win like fucking 4 games or something?
Yeah,
with them?
I think he came third, a podium, or third or fourth.
No, he came fourth. He came just under the podium.
Yeah.
He was my hero of the week.
Yeah. But that's because he was using they had access to the realm spells. So
yeah.
Which is which showed.
I think that would be a thing though. That would be cool if they managed to.
Perform
with the realm
wait, so hold on. You're telling me that the access to a caster that can cast 2 spells on the realm spells, made a significant difference to take an army that went from maybe 1 or 2 games at a 5-game tournament up to 3 to 4, or 4, but you're not allowing me to have that same effect with the Fungoid Cave Shamans.
You are right, sir. You're 100% correct. No, I don't.
We're not allowing you that. Yeah, because the Fungoid Cave Shaman can do it for 1 turn. These guys can do it for 5 turns.
Yes, but they can reroll to cast and reroll to unbind
for 1 turn. For one turn.
Yeah, but you could spread that over 4 turns with 4 of them, and but
that's only one of them.
They're 200 points cheaper than the Ragnarok. Okay, so what are we?
The Fungoid Cave Shaman is 1 to 2. It's like the nice corn in your poo.
Yeah, the Fungoid Cave Shaman is really good. He's got great command ability.
Yes.
As well. But the problem is, you've got to have the command points to spend them as well. That's the battalions and stuff like that. That you don't have access to in Destruction.
Donaldinho, by the way, says, it's just because I love them. Probably 3 to 4 is more reasonable for 11-player field. I lost 1 game at Bobo versus Garrick, so no mistakes, and he capitalised. So, talking about Spider-Fan Grot, Jason D. Fluffer says 6. Great work, Jason D. Fluffer. Grubby says 2. AOS says maybe 2. Fluke says 3. Spider-Fang says, Morgan Source says 1. Combat Phase Podcast says 1 to 2. Vince says 2 at a push. And everyone wants it to be higher. Everyone. Darth Alec, who's in the house. Whoop, whoop. Norway's in the house. There was some Git who won a whole event this Spider-Fang years ago. Not AOS 2, though. Plus that Git was fantastically gorgeous and good looking. Donaldinho says Geminids, Colossal, Hag, Trogoths, Hag Spell, Netters are amazing. Talking about Destruction.
Hag Spell
and if they had their formation, if they just had access to that formation again, why? It wasn't that strong.
The battalion, that's the thing with Destruction, is the battalions on the sea.
Yes, and they just got taken away for no reason, and then they forgot about them. And I'm really more mardy about it. Right, okay, so we're saying 2 to 3 or 2?
2.
Shit! I really want that to be higher.
We all want it to be 3 or 4 or 5 man, but
I agree. I agree. All right, Stoneclaw's got Stompers, which is a Firestorm Allegiance ability. C. Nathan?
Yeah, 4. Well, yeah, 4.
4. John?
4.
Yeah, man.
Stompers.
Yeah,
cool.
man.
I'm gonna go with your one there because I'm.
I think probably realistic 3 to 4, Nath. Come on.
Probably. What did we give Mixed Destruction?
4.
Because it's Mixed Destruction, but with bonuses. You won't ever see Mixed Destruction. Well, you will if you want to take Trogoths or Ogres.
Okay.
But if you're playing with everything else, then you may as well take Gut Stompers. Because you just get extra stuff for free.
Okay. Alright. Okay, so 4. So, realistically, everyone on the Twitch show and who's listening to the podcast, we've now running at 3 hours for the show. We've only got an hour left of the show. And I don't want to, I already said this, I don't want to squeeze it. It's taken us about an hour to do each faction. Death is the same size, really, as Destruction, and obviously Chaos is a really big faction as well. So I think what we'll do is we'll come back to that next week. That doesn't mean we're stopping right now.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing it because there's a really important thing I'd like to cover.
Okay.
So it will be are you guys okay with that?
Yeah. So next week we'll do Death and
Chaos.
Next
week we'll do Death and Chaos, and we'll come up to it with loads of so instead of just being tired and not really having the same thing, and maybe we'll have some amendments to do, but I don't think we will, but we'll see. We'll cover both of those next week in detail, like we have in this, where we've gone on to long conversations about some of the factions. But there's a breakdown that I want to do now that you guys are going to have to watch the screen if you want to watch, because there's some graphics I've got queued up.
Ooh.
And if you listen to the podcast, I'll attach them down. I'll attach them as like a file at the bottom so you guys can see. So I'm sorry if you guys were super excited about us covering Death and Chaos now. That will be next week. Sorry about that, but I want to do them in the proper detail, right?
Okay.
Okay. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to have to be, but I hope that's all right. It sounds like a bad rock band, Death and Chaos.
Sounds like a good rock band.
Yeah, it sounds like a great rock band. It's only because I want to do them justice. So, and I think that they're both really fascinating, and some of them are quite complicated, like Maggotkin, right? So, this next section now is been brought to you by the lovely gentleman who's in the chat, Mr. LLV, our Canadian tuxedo-wearing badass, and he's had some help. This is really interesting, by the way, and you should definitely... I'm really excited about talking about this. He's had some help from... Let me just get my list up. Again, shout out to Canhammer Darren, Relian, James and John at WarGamesCon, Flukesy, and Martin Orlando and Joe K, who were at Nova. So you guys ready? So from every event, not from every event, but from 7 events, excluding Bobo, we have LOV has taken a bunch of the tournaments that perform armies that have performed well, and he's broken it up he's taken all the stats and stuck it all together so that we can have a breakdown and we can start to look at some of this information. Yeah. So let me just click this up. There we go. So I'm going to cut to the information on the screen for you guys there now. Yeah. And so you guys should be able to see that. Okay. And the podcast again, bring it up. I've called this one AOS percentage. So if you're looking at this information here, I'm from Leeds. LOV's in Leeds right now. He is from Leeds. He lives in Canada now, but he is from Leeds. Sorry, talking about LOV. So big shout out to him. I want to say thank you. He's done tireless work on this. I think it's wonderful. He's a superstar. I massively appreciate it. He was really, really serious about making sure that we said that the people who helped him. So I think that shows that he's such a badass. Okay, so can you guys see it on the screen? You got it up?
Yeah.
Okay, so if what you're looking at is the match win percentage is how many games they've won in those tourneys as a whole, right? So that's on the far right-hand side. I've logged every result by wins from top to bottom, not just the top 10. So this is very accurate data. It also weeds out all the soft scores. If you have, hold on. No, that's the information. Meta percentage is how many of those armies have shown up over the last 7 tournaments. Sorry. And then the first sheet is a summary. So there we go. So that's what this information is.
Wow.
Right. This is awesome. So it's every result log from it. So as you can see there, if you're looking at the screen, the Legions and Nagash have taken 12.2% of the meta. So they represent 12.2% of the armies at tournaments.
That's quite a lot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
They've come in the top 10s 14 times. And then they get 5+ wins 5 of the times, 13 4 wins, and then 19 3 wins. And then they go down to only having 0 wins 1 time, 1 win 1 time, and 2 wins 12 times. People use it, please. I can put the workbook in Discord. If people use it, please shout at them as Wargamer. LLV is a superstar. So the win percentage for Legions and Nagash is 62%. Yeah? Right? Which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah?
Shows they're good at winning.
It shows that they're good at winning. Daughters of Cain, no. They only represent 5.3% of the meta. So if you turn up at a tournament, only 100 armies, 5.3 of them would be Daughters of Cain.
Yeah.
But however, their win percentage is 72%. So they win 72% of their games, which I think is fascinating.
Yeah.
Maggotkin and Nurgle, they represent nearly 9% of tournament armies you face. And they've got a win rate of only 55%. So they only win about half of their games. Now, again, this is obviously like based on a small amount of data. Not a small amount, it's the most data that we've got. And I think it's fascinating, but I think this is just wonderful. And as Haywo was saying in the chat, 72% is massive.
Yeah.
You know,
it's huge. Well, I mean, if you look at that, so the Daughters of Cain, you've got 11 of them have won 4 to 5 games, and then 11 of them have won 2 to 3 games.
Yeah.
And none of them have only won 1 or 0 games.
So it's over 400 games worth of data.
Yeah.
Maggotkin and I've done Maggotkin. So Idoneth, Deepkin only represent 4% of the armies that you're likely to play, but they win 64% of their games, and they've come in the top 10 9 times.
Yeah.
Disciples of Tzeentch represent 5.5% of the armies you're likely to play, and I feel that that's a holdover from how many Disciples of Tzeentch we used to see in Age of Sigmar 1. Again, they only win about half the games, 54%, and they came top 10 only 3 times. Stormcast Eternals, however, which is fascinating, they represent nearly 12% of the armies that you're going to play. So 1 in 10 armies. They've only got a win rate of about half, so 52%, and they come in the top 10 6 times. So yeah, there's just loads of information there. All those people saying that Stormcast Eternals are 5, and then big troll face from Haywo. But what I think is really interesting there with those Stormcast Eternal armies, they're the most populated army. So that means good players and bad players are going to play them, right?
Yeah.
Daughters of Cain are a quite complicated army, and they're not very user friendly. So if you've only played 1 or 2 armies, you're probably not going to pick up a Daughters of Cain army. But the more experienced players, I think, are going to. John, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I agree. And I think what's really interesting is that Legions of Nagash have bypassed Stormcast Eternal on the most popular army, right?
Yeah.
And also, I mean, this is just me seeing this. Host of Slaanesh, 67%.
Yes. That's what you mean. Yes. Hold on, let me just get this in the right place.
Yeah, but that's only 6 players.
Don't ruin it all. So then it becomes a little bit more fractured, but it's still worth talking about. Blades of Khorne, 6.2% with a win rate of about half, and Sylvaneth with 6% of the meta, so they turn up about 6% of the time. With again 56%, so a little bit above average. Nighthorn, and then new, so they're I find that really interesting. Nighthorn is nearly 6%, so the same as Blades of Khorne and Sylvaneth, both armies that have been out for a long time, but in AOS 2, they've been represented almost the same amount, and they've got the same amount of win rate. So played by new players, maybe people who don't fully understand the army yet, they need a bit more practice, but they're still able to produce the same results as people who've been playing with Sylvaneth and Blades of Khorne armies for maybe a couple of years. Which I think is really interesting. There we go. Yeah, happy with that?
Yeah.
Then you've got Chaos, so that's Mixed Chaos, 2.6, and Destruction is 1.9. And then oh no, wait, that's not true.
Have you seen the Carriage on Overlord one?
Oh, so that's down to Ironjaws, right? And then they're going to cut. So I've now moved over.
Yeah, Ironjaws are pretty popular.
They are 7%, but they only win 40% of their games, and it does include the Nova results yet. Yeah. Morgan Stormsmasher says Nurgle is problematic as a lot of the Nurgle results would be Archeon liars. Spider-Fan Grots represent under 1%, which I think is interesting. Carriage on Overlords, Jonathan, you'll be happy to hear, represent only 1.4% of armies played, and their win rate is only 27%.
Yeah, as I said before, they came out a bit short.
They did come out a bit short, right? Right. Now, Phoenix Temple only represents 0.2%, and this is just Chris Tomlin at one event, but he has got an 80% win rate. So obviously that's like a big skew if, but it does go to show that the one person that's taken Phoenix Temple to a tournament that we know of has won 4 out of 5 games. Yeah?
Yeah.
Interesting stats. Everyone happy with these stats?
What I think is really amazing is that people have actually played Death.
Yes, I think that's true. Although, and then finally, Legions of Asgore, This is an important point to make out there. 0.2% representation.
One guy.
One guy. His name's Sir fucking Flukes a lot. Yeah. And it's got a 60% win rate. Yeah. Other notable win rates are Order Draconis at 60%, Warherds 60%, but again, that would just be a singular person. Fire Slayers are down to 40%. In fact, Carriage and Overlords, I think, are one of the lowest win rates. No, Darkling Covens are the lowest win rate at 20%. So some really interesting stats there from over 400 games. What do you guys think of that?
Darkling Covens is actually tied.
Well, no, we don't talk about that.
Who are they tied with?
Dispossessed.
I don't know.
With Dispossessed. Let me just quickly cut that over so you guys can see right at the bottom the Dispossessed.
I'm gonna have to take them to a tournament.
Fake news. This is fake news.
It is.
Everything you heard here is fake.
Okay, well, this is fantastic. Next up, great information there, right? A big shout out to LLV again, who did this.
Yeah, this is great.
He's saying in the chat right now, win rates are skewed by the people turning up once. He's done this basically off his own back with loads of contributors who've helped. So he's a wonderful dude. This is great info. And hopefully this will help you guys make some good decisions on buying things, right? Dispossessed had 0 players until someone went 1-5 at Nova. Shit. Right, so next up, the next screen that you can see is where placing in the top 10. So this is not just your win percentage of games played, but this is the top 10 games, if that makes sense. So like where you've placed in, winning the tournament down to being in the top 10.
Yeah.
And as you can see, Legions and Nagash in that graph there, far and away taken away. Yeah, they've consistently placed high, as have Daughters of Cain, Maggotkin of Nurgle, Idoneth Deepkin, Disciples of Zinch just snuck in there, but not really. And then you've got Stormcast Eternal, Blades of Corn, and Sylvaneth are the notable ones, I would say. Yes, and then we don't have the results from Bobo, so that's maybe skewed it a little bit. We might be able to change it up if we ever do get that information.
What Bobo stays with Bobo. What do you say, Nathan?
Ixtab also wants to say one thing to note: more popular faction will tend to push the percentage towards 50%. Yeah, which is true because it's paid by different sorts of people. So I find that really interesting. So Nagash being up there. And then finally, this last graphic that you can see is the match win percentage. Now, there's the skewed result there that you can see kind of in the central right from Phoenix Temple. Big spike there from Chris Tomlin. Just like, that's my fucking graph. You might as well call that the Chris Tomlin fucking stick. Look at it with his fucking finger in the air. And I looked
Imagine when somebody fucks it up.
Yeah. Someone else tweets, I'm going to use Phoenix Temple. And Chris Tomlin's like, don't fuck up my stats. You piece of shit. And then finally, but the big takeaway there, obviously, is Daughters of Cain.
Yeah, they're freaking mental, aren't they?
Yes, 75%. And then also, absolutely weirdly, the Hosts of Slanesh, also quite high as well.
Yeah, but that's quite a small sample size.
It's a small sample size.
Whereas the Daughters have got a decent sample size. And they're still making lots of numbers.
Yeah. So I think that's fascinating stats. And really does go to point... Effectively, if you take just this information, you do have to say that statistically, Daughters of Cain are the best army.
Yeah.
Competitively. So anything under is bad, anything over is good. Yeah. In competitive sports, everything should be 50-50, that's right. And also, Ixtab points out that obviously you've got mirror matches as well, which will skew. So a Daughters of Cain army may play a Daughters of Cain army, which will skew the results, right?
Yeah.
But
should just keep them. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. But fascinating stats. I got to say, what do you guys make of that? Like, what do you think? Like, feeling through that, Legions of Nagash and Daughters of Cain really in there.
Yeah, it's impressive how popular the Legions of Nagash have become.
Especially from when they were barely played.
Yeah. So when Death was hardly played at all at one stage in AOS 1.
Yeah.
Now it's like the most popular single faction, isn't it? Even above Stormcast, which is impressive.
What should be the threshold for useful percentage for an army based on representation? What should be the useful? That's a great question. So, like how many wins roughly should they get for them to be useful based on representation? But I think also what's interesting is just the percentage of representation. So, like 10%. So, if you go to a tournament, 20% of the field is going to be made up of Legions of Nagash or Stormcast.
No, well, I think you can't say what percentage you're gonna say. You have to have like a sample size because the percentage will remain roughly the same all the time anyway. Because only a few people are going to take some armies. But after you've had a year's worth of games, you might have had then a dozen dispossessed players, and then you can see that they should be winning 7 out of 5 games. So
yeah. But I still think it's really useful data, like to be interpreted carefully. That's the thing you need to remember. Don't look at that, see Phoenix Temple with an 80% win rate, buy a Phoenix Temple army and think that that's what you'll do all the time at a tournament. But I still think it's really interesting data and really useful, and it means that a lot of our supposition isn't based on just your respect for our knowledge base. It's that there's some empirical data there, which I find really fascinating. And again, just put together by LLV, so big shout out to him. That's fantastic work. And the people that have helped him.
That's great.
Real interesting. Does it make you think anything different about like going to a tournament? Did you already know there were going to be a lot of daughters? Or do you think, even if I have to play one daughters player, I need to, what do you think?
I think it definitely, it's useful for if you are going to a tournament to look at that sort of stuff. Because then you've got a better idea of what matchups you're going to end up with. Looks like you're going to play Death player at some stage. Good chance of playing some Stormcasts. And then if you're ending up on the top tables, then you're going to somehow have to deal with Daughters of Cain or Ideneth, and a decent Death army. You've got a good chance of fighting something like that.
Yeah. John, what does it make you think?
I think that when somebody say my faction sucks, you point at the percentage and say that no, you suck.
Yeah, like, and if someone says Stormcaster OP, it's like, well, look, 50%. Which I think is really good. So LLV says, and this is really interesting, he's happy to keep the workbook going. So, like, as we get more data. So if you run an event, or you know someone who's running an event, and you want to contact the Honest Wargamer on Facebook or Twitter, or you can obviously join our Discord, the Honest Wargamer Discord. And if you need a link, you can message us. And then if you're a TO or you know TOs and you want that information inputted so we can keep the workbook going and create more data, I think that'd be fascinating so people can get matchups. I think that would be useful for all of us to make some really informed decisions. Especially if you're thinking about getting a new army, or just what you might face. I think what's interesting is the population of the armies. I would have thought that there wasn't that much death, really. I thought it was the same as Stormcast, but actually it is, and that's kind of impressed me so far. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I mean, if you look at if you combine the legions and the Ninetaunt, because that's where your death is, it's quite a decent sample size, isn't it? Really. And of course, there's that one person that played Death as Death.
So much death. What can men do against so much death? So there we go. So yeah, there was obviously a couple of tournaments missing from around the world, but like I think it's a great start, like fantastic. And if anyone wants to get us info, that would be good. Put past events in too, obviously. I'd like to see the win-loss going first, second over a decent sample. The problem is, that also would be really great info, but it really is down to TOs to send us that information. And I think really it should be on events that have got more than 32 players with games of 5+. I don't think one-dayers count personally, because you really need to get into the 4-5 games.
Does the player count matter if you have a tournament with 5 games and nobody plays each other twice?
Maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah. Donaldinho, I don't want to look at the workbook. I'll spend hours on it. Hit up Canhammer Darren for Capital City Bloodbath info. Hoycon, Canhammer Darren actually helped out a bunch there with some of that info. So I'm sure there'll be more input coming. So this data is ooh. So I'm going to put it up on Twitter in not too long with some links. So if you guys want to retweet the Honest Wargamer with that hot data as well, that would be really cool. And again, big shout out. For me, that's fascinating. And do you think it'll change some of the stuff that you might see next week about Legions of Nagash and when we go to talk about Legions of Nagash and Chaos, Nath? John?
I'd say they are a 4 to 5.
4 to 5.
Based on this.
Next week, John's just going to be doing his homework, and he'll be like, what did you say, Rob? Hostess and Ash? About 74% win rate. I'll be like, all right, John, thanks, appreciate that. Yeah. Which is why I did the data at the end, you see. Yeah? Right, at the end.
But it's not really the end.
No, it's not really the end, it's the middle. It's the sandwich. It's the filler between the two great bits. LV says, so here's what I basically need. Best finish, worst finish, then wins per faction. But I need every place, full date from the tourney, top to bottom, and data. Legion of Nagash is probably the only army I put on 5 besides Daughters of Cain, says Heywo. And this data didn't change my mind. Sticky tongue face, he says. All right. I think, so we're going to stop there. So I think we've covered that data, and it's great. But it might also be worth doing another little bit of a sideshow that I might do on my own about the data, and really get into the nuts and bolts of it, which is cool. Might put that on Patreon. May not. John, you got anything you want to say? Do you want to say goodbye to everyone? I got to say, thank you to everyone on Twitch and Patreon. Today, everyone on Twitch has been amazing, and the YouTube comments and the Facebook comments, they were everywhere.
Comments all over the shop.
All over the shop. And if you've enjoyed it, please tweet us, retweet us,
Facebook
like,
us,
subscribe,
Snapchat us,
all of it, Snapchat us, but also do share the information with people, because that's the way most people hear about us, is letting everyone know that you've heard something pretty good. And we've got some really nice things happening in a minute. Like on Twitter, there's been a whole bunch of people like Aaron Wilson and some other people who've just been like sharing our info and saying that I love listening to this, and that's great. So anything you can do to let people know about us would be cool. And everyone on Patreon, and because we're on Patreon and Twitch, and that people subscribe and donate, we don't have to lie, and we can just tell people off feelings.
We don't have to, but we do anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that should be our tagline. We don't have to lie, but we do.
We don't have to lie. We just do it because we're bastards. John, do you want to say goodbye to anyone? Got any shout-outs? Got any people?
Yeah, I mean, this workbook is amazing. Great fucking job.
That was it. You've stolen my shout out. That's my shout out is going to be Tell LV. Go on.
Yeah, you can have another one. This is superb. I'll see if I can grab the Bobo data from somebody, but I think it was burned after reading most of the stuff at Bobo. But yeah, this is great. It will be really cool, to see how this evolves. This thing, this is superb, man. I love it.
Even Jet got up as in a salute to the data, and hopefully the show has helped people learn what we think about the armies and how they work at tournaments, and what maybe you could do when you go to face them at tournaments. So hopefully half of this information is useful. The other half coming next week. Big shout out to LLV. Shout out to everyone really who's helped out loads. Because just everyone on the show just helps those. Big shout out to you two, you fucking gorgeous bastards. Yeah.
Shout out.
Do you want to shout out anyone?
Jet. Hello, Jet.
Jet the dog?
Yeah.
Anyone else? Paul Haley played him the other day?
Yeah, Paul. Lofthammer.
Babe. What a babe.
Yeah.
I just want to shout out everyone. You're all fantastic. Never forget you're brilliant. Hobby. Play well. Just smash face. You're all wicked. It's a great hobby to be in. Everyone's great. Just fucking have a great week. Whatever you're doing. Paint well. Play well. learn, get a little workbook, write it in there, get a cheap one.
Write a story. Dear Diary, today I played Warhammer. It was lacquer.
Oh, Haywo says, if a Gryph-hound dies, does he get reforged as a good boy? All Gryph-hounds are good boys. That's a fact. Yeah? And they're fluffers.
What?
Psycho Weenie 86 says that the show has been very useful. He realised I've collected a bunch of shit stuff.
They should be great fluffers because they have no teeth.
No, not fluffers.
Oh.
They don't become fluffers. Gryph-hounds don't die and become porn actresses. What the fuck is wrong with you?
The realm of Jonathan.
Oh, no. Okay. Wow. I think that's the only really way to end it.
That'd be great fluffers that don't have any teeth.
Gryph-hounds? They got fucking teeth! Thank you to everyone on Twitch. Thank you to everyone in the world. You guys are great, and we'll see you again next week. John, Nathan, bye.